and I think connected, or maybe it was your
Yeah.
son.
Yep.
Now it's coming together.
Yep.
A little slow there on my side.
Yeah, you had some great advice for me, and so
I always do.
yeah.
Ari, are we able to? Are we all set on the logistics side of things, or what? Or is that Tim? No, we lost somebody.
We're gonna let Junior speak too, right?
All right, yeah, so I'm also Jeff English, and right now I'm at UConn studying finance with a concentration in real estate. And yeah, we joined Subto around 2 months ago now. And the first meetup we went to was at New England, Rhode Island, was it? Meetup?
Yep.
A few weeks back, and I recognize a bunch of familiar faces in this call already. So yeah, initially I want to start by doing some Gator stuff and wholesaling transactions. I've kind of been inspired in a way by Kevin Cho and the stuff that he's doing right now. So yeah, so that's what I want to start off with, and then I'm gonna get into some long-term rentals and start building my portfolio that way a little later.
Sweet. All right, I think we can start, Justin, or what? Or do you want to wait a little more? Yeah, might as well.
That's up to you guys. I mean, unless you want to do any other housekeeping things, I mean, that you want to go over, or Q&A, keep it to it towards the end for your presentation after you guys are done from Maine.
It's really just a flow of things. So
Sure.
Yeah, so I'll just introduce myself. So my name is Zahid Abid. I'm one of the regional leaders here in Subto. For those of you who don't know what Subto is, it's a real estate mentorship that is spearheaded by Pace Morby. It deals with a lot of creative finance, things such as subject to transactions, novations, seller financing, hybrids, whatever is a non-traditional method. We learn about that stuff and deal with it. And I think, there's not much information out there, but the community is the greatest asset. For me anyways, it's been the greatest asset since I've joined, not just like the modules and stuff like that, but really the community and leveraging the people to motivate you and get you to the next level. So I joined in December 2020, and didn't really have much experience, and here we are, almost 3 years later, and was able to build basically a $1 million business, and basically retire in a couple of years. So obviously I didn't do that by myself. There was a great deal of help and motivation from my colleagues here in the community, especially Justin, Gordon, and all of the other people that were here from the beginning that were doing way more than what I was doing. So like I said, I'm here in Maine. I'm based out of Maine. I do a lot of fix and flips. I do a lot of rentals, and we're getting into developments and a lot of the big old deals going forward. I'll just highlight some of the other members here. Justin Tumanowski, my partner in New Hampshire. He's one of the other regional leaders. Chelsea is one of the local leaders here in Maine. She helps a lot with the local events, meetups, and is a resource for anybody that's needs help. Tim Smith is here. He's actually probably taking care of his cute little baby Siri, or probably locking up another deal, but he's up in the Rockland area. And Matt Caldwell is up in the Waterville area, I believe, and he's doing a pretty big multifamily project. I think he's got a meetup coming up. So if anybody's in the Maine area, feel free to hit us up. If anybody's in the Boston area, Jonathan Santiago is one of our leaders there. New Hampshire, Justin Tumanowski, Nick Dulak. If you're in New England, just reach out to somebody. We'll get you to the right place. There's really no problem that we haven't seen. You want a tenant to jump out of the third floor window and run off the street away from the police. I've seen it. So there's all sorts of situations we can help out people. So don't be afraid to ask questions, and reach out. And yeah, so that's my little spiel that I got going on. And so basically what I want to talk about today is a couple of different things. So last month was the biggest month for me personally. We basically closed, I think, like 8 contracts, and we sold I think 3 properties that month. And just want to kind of give a little bit of some of the projects that I've done personally and here in Maine, some of the other projects that are coming up in the pipeline, and some opportunities for other people that want to get involved in these projects. So that'd be like kind of like the majority of the call. Feel free to ask any questions. I'm very transparent in my business. There's nothing that's really hidden. If you want to ask about, how much money you paid somebody, how much money you made, how long it took, where did you screw up? Because I do that a lot. So there is no such thing as a dumb question. Or a question that, you might feel like is embarrassing or something. We're all here to learn and leverage each other's knowledge and stuff like that. So feel free to interrupt anytime. It's a very, like I said, I'm a very informal person. I'll just kind of go through things with the flow of stuff, and feel free to interrupt, raise your hand or ask a question or say, hey, why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? Or whatever you want to do. So that'll be the majority of the call. Then after that, we can talk about private money. What is private money? How do we get it? Why do we utilize it? What's the benefits and how you're secure and things of that nature. Private money is very big. I think most people, if not all of us, have a limit on how much cash we have. So private money is essential to, growing the business, doing deals and scaling the company to where it needs to be. Then the last thing is, if people have any deals they want to talk about, if anybody's have seller objections they're dealing with, if they want to underwrite something, maybe want to do a hot seat, we can kind of see where the last hour goes and we can just take it from there. So before I start, does anybody have any questions or anything they want to know, or we just want to get into things? Or all right, great. I will go ahead and talk about one of the deals that I did with my partner. So I will go ahead and share my screen. Just want to make sure it's the right screen. So let me know if you guys are able to see my screen here.
Yes, Z.
Yeah, okay, cool. So my partner here, John Luca, him and I do, so John Luca is a wholesaler. For those of you who don't know what a wholesaler is, it's somebody that goes and finds deals. So they go out using, marketing strategies to reach out to sellers, either outbound or inbound, and they lock up contracts, negotiate with sellers and stuff like that. And then they go ahead and sell those contracts. So, they get a contract signed, they, for like 100,000, for example, they assign it to an investor or a buyer or a landlord or whoever. And then they just make the spread on the difference. So John has been in the business for about 4 years and he works a lot with me. So one day we were just going on to looking at a property and we end up, seeing this place on the side of the road. And so, we're just driving. We're like, hey, look, this place looks like it's distressed. There's a lot of grass. There's trash outside. Why don't we just pull over and see what's going on? So we ended up going and knocking on the door. The owner wasn't home, but so we ended up sending him a postcard. So we used an app called I think he used Deal Machine. So a Deal Machine is a driving for dollars app. So he used a app called Deal Machine. He put in the address of the property we're looking at. The app automatically sent a postcard to the seller's house. The seller called them, I think, 2 days later, and then we actually met the seller out in the property about a week after. And the seller bought the house, I think a year ago. He had all the intentions of fixing it up, and it was just too much for him. It was one person, there was a big house, and life happened, and he just wasn't able to finish the project. So we looked at the deal, see what we want to do. If there was an opportunity for us, we brought our realtor with us the other day. We walked the place. She did a CMA for us. A CMA, for those who don't know, is a cost market analysis, and that means they looked at what the sold comps are and what we could potentially sell this house for once we fix it up and so forth. So I think the CMA came back around like $400,000 or so. The place did need a lot of work, but it is what it was. So the seller, I think they bought it for like 125 or so, if I'm not mistaken. And then they put some money into the project to fix it up. And, they wanted an offer for like 150, I think. So that 150, I think, worked for us. So we signed the contract. So John signed the contract. For those of you who have never signed a contract before, I can show you what the contract looks like. So if I go here, and I apologize, it's not up to date, all of it, but so this is the assignment. Where is the person sale? It's right here. Sorry, guys. Joint venture, assignment. there's a purchase and sale contract somewhere. But I will show you the other ones. So this is a joint venture agreement. So basically what this means is, John and I were going to partner on the deal. Everything will be 50-50. And actually, before I do this, Justin, am I able to show this stuff? Is that okay or no? Just want to make sure I'm not breaking the rules.
Showing what are you gonna show?
Just the assignment contract and then the JV agreement.
Yeah, just, yeah, I mean, it's not like they're gonna have,
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, maybe I'll just show the note, it's fine. So
No, that's
basically, yeah, so basically a JV agreement, what it is, it's a legally binding contract that protects both you and your partner. So it outlines all of the, who's getting paid what, who's responsible for the management, who's responsible for the overages, who is responsible for what tasks. And, even though John and I are friends, and stuff like that happens, but in business, you always want to make sure that the other party is secured and you're secured. So, that JV agreement protects both him and I and lays out the whole foundation of the partnership going forward. Yes, go ahead, Drew.
Yeah, real quick. Do you always rely on your realtor to give you that CMA, or do you run your own comps? Oh, like
No,
what kind of
yeah,
the
so
process there?
yeah, so I have access to the MLS from other realtors. So I always run a preliminary search of what I think it is. So like what my comps is, and then I always, get the opinion of the realtor to see what she thinks.
Gotcha. So it's like to reconfirm almost.
Yeah, exactly right. I want to make sure that the comps I'm using, because again, I have a specific where I'm comfortable with, and then they'll do something else. But you always want to make sure that you're getting a second opinion. In my case, anyways, it's a realtor that I trust. We've sold a lot of houses, and it's always been on the mark. So we just want to make sure that we're, checking all our bases and we're being, a little bit conservative on things because stuff always happens. But you don't have to do that. There's software that will allow you to run some comps and things like that and see what. Me personally, I like to see what's sold, within that vicinity, and houses that are of like build. So that's just what I like to do personally. Again, we live in a little bit of rural area, so that might not always be possible, but we try to do our best as we can. So that's kind of what the JV agreement is. So both parties sign that, and that legally binds everything. So basically in this project, I was responsible for bringing all the funding to the deal. And then John is responsible for managing the project and make sure it gets to the finish line. So I will show you the purchase and sale agreement. Sorry, not the purchase sale, the promissory note. So, so for John and I, we estimate the renovations to be like around $130,000, I think, or so, maybe 120, something around there. So, obviously, John and I, we don't use our own funds to close any of the deals. So I have a relationship with one of my lenders. His name is Eric. And he does a lot of deals for me. And so I reached out to Eric. I ran him through all the deals and the numbers. He was happy with everything. And he sent over the funds he wired the funds over to the title company. So this is what this is actually, so when you're doing private money, there's two things. One is what's called a promissory note. So a promissory note is basically the details of the deal. So for me personally, I just did a flat fee. So Eric wired us $295,000. We will pay him $12,500 at the end of the project, whenever that's complete. So that, and then there is a year term on this. So now we expect to be out of the project within 4 to 6 months, but if things longer, they still the same amount gets paid. Sometimes people do interest only, so you can do interest only on this on a monthly basis until you're finished. Me personally, I just like the one lump sum payment at the end of the term. But again, that's whatever you and your private lender are comfortable with. So this is the promissory note. This is all drafted up by the title company and their attorney. So this is what secures your butt to the property as collateral. So this is what protects you in the case if something goes wrong. And, you need to get the property back or the person is not paying. These are the terms, and then the mortgage is what protects you.
Call it that in Massachusetts.
So again, each place is different. For me, the title company we work with does a lot. So they just draft it up and we just notarize it in front. As you can see here, this is my company and this is the other company. So go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, so I don't know if I missed it or not, but did you say how much the interest, like how much that you're paying for the money?
Yeah, so we're buying 295,000 and we're paying back a flat fee of 12,500.
Okay, does that translate to any sort of like percentage or rate? I could do it now, but I'm just curious.
Unfortunately, it depends on the timeline, right? And if it's a 3 month, if it's a 3 month note, I think it's around like 15%. If it's 6 month, it's around like 10%, if I'm not mistaken. It really just depends on how much time, how long you have the time for, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah, for us, it's a flat fee. You know, we could take 3 months, we could take 6 months, we could take 9 months. It would be the same amount. As long as we're done within a year, that's when the balloon payment is due.
Do you ever get like lenders who want you to like pay for a certain period of interest, whether or not like let's say like you expect the deal to close in like, just for theoretical, like 2 months, but then it's going to take like 6 months as like an expectation,
Mhm.
just in case like, things go wrong, whatever, like you just have it longer. Do you have anybody like saying like, hey, I want it for like the interest to be like a minimum of like 4 months?
Yeah, so I mean, again, it's really what you guys are comfortable with and what you guys agree upon, right? It's whatever the document says. So if the document says, you got to pay back this loan in 6 months or else, X, Y, and Z, that's what it is. Me personally, if I do interest only payments, I usually pay like 3 months, no matter what, even if I finish the projects in 2 months. That's been a case before where we've had 3 lenders on a deal and, the note was on a monthly basis, but we finished in 60 days, but I still paid everybody back 3 months. So it really depends on your relationships with your lenders and what you guys agree with.
Gotcha.
Was there another question as well? I thought it's another hand up.
Yeah, I had a question too.
Oh, go ahead.
Does that promissory note, does that secure a second position for your investor as well on the mortgage?
Yeah, so the promissory note is just really kind of the details of it. The mortgage is what secures. I think other places call it deed of trust, or maybe the terminology is different, but the mortgage is what secures you to the property. And for those of you who don't know what first or second position is, first position is the person who is the first lender on the deal. So in most cases, it's a bank. A second position is a person who is behind that first lender. So if they, like, for example, if a house is worth, let's say a house is worth, there's a lender in first position for 100,000 and there's a lender in second position for 100,000, but something goes wrong or whatever, and the property gets sold for 150, the first position, the person gets their money back, but the second position only gets $50,000, if that makes sense. I just want to clarify for those that don't know. But in terms of like first and second position, it's actually when it's recorded. So, you could have somebody that has 50 grand, but if someone else puts 500,000, unless you get specific permission from the lender, it's how it's recorded in order. But yeah, you can use the same exact note for first, second, third, fourth, whatever you want to do.
Okay, cool.
Again, this is what I'm showing you is just specifically for Maine. I don't know if there's any differences for Massachusetts or New Hampshire. I don't assume so because we use the same one in Massachusetts as well. But just always just check with your local attorneys or title companies, whatever you guys use. Righty. So something that was a little bit unique in this place was, so we got the place for, like I said, $150,000. Since I have an acquisitions company and a flipping company, and John has an acquisition company and a flipping company, we decided to get paid up front for marketing costs. So at the closing table, the purchase price for 150,000, the loan amount was for 295. So the difference is about $140,000, minus the closing costs or whatever it is. So John's company, his wholesaling company, King's Investors, got 20 grand up front at closing. My company, United Home Solutions, got paid 20 grand up front at closing. And then when we go to sell the property, we'll get the other remaining balance. So it's something that I like to do personally because you get paid for your marketing costs up front. And then, you get your flip profits at the end of it. But, for those of us that have small businesses, capital is always, a premium and, operation costs and marketing costs and stuff like that to keep the business running is not always, it's not always cheap. So that's one strategy you can employ if you haven't already. I personally do it all the time now. All right, so let me just show you quick pictures of the place. Let me see. So this is the renovation list that we have. Just a simple description. We always go through the whole place with the contractors and mark out what needs to be done and stuff like that. But when we went to go and underwrite the deal, let me see where it is. So actually, let me show you some photos, I guess. So this is what the place looks like. You needed a full facelift. It was I think it was technically like a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. We're gonna end up turning it into a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom with a master, just to make it more functional. This place does have a lot of land acreage on it, and so that provides a lot of value to it. But you can kind of see like the condition of the house that we typically purchase. And the roof was shot on this place. Actually, the roof was really bad. They ripped out the roof this week and replaced it. But for those of you who haven't done a flip, these are the kind of houses that you typically buy, ones that need a lot of renovations or like cosmetic rehabs and stuff like that. So that's that project. And I think I can show you what it looks like to underwrite it real quick. So deal analysis, flip analyzer. So I have this nifty tool called Upright. I think it was called Flipper Force before. So this is where all my projects are housed. So we just type in what is the after repair value. So what we think it's worth. So we said 415. Actually, let me go over here and click on. So 415. What do we purchase it for? $150,000. What is the repair cost? We just estimate 100,000. The fixed cost. So this is what it cost us to close the deal. So 12.5 of that is already calculated as the financing, and then $2,500 is what was calculated for the closing cost. So that's like attorney fees and transfer taxes and all the other stuff. So we're thinking rehab is going to take 2 months, and we're going to sell it within 3 months. So our holding cost is $247 a month. So that's utilities. There's no utilities on at the place. So we pay our realtor 5%. I think a lot of people have different feelings about realtors. I personally love them. They take a lot of load off our backs, and they provide a lot of services. So I personally, we could, if we wanted to, we could pay people less, but it's always good to take care of the people that take care of you. So that's our financing cost. We don't do the loan because of flat fee. So if all that stuff works out great, which it always does, it never happens. We'll stand to make $128,000 at the end of the day, which we split in half, which is going to be around, $65,000 a piece. And, that's just one project. If we do 2 of those a year, that's a pretty decent salary for very minimal work, if you think about it. If you want to put into perspective, I was a software engineer making more than 150 grand, working like a robot every single day. So that's kind of like a little bit overview of the deal. That's kind of how we found it, what the seller wanted, how we purchased it, how we funded it, how we underwrote it, how we closed it, and kind of what the potential is going forward. So, all in, I think my time invested in this whole deal so far, maybe like 10 hours. That's going to the property, underwriting it, getting the funding, getting the contracts, and that's, and maybe at the end of the whole project, I'll have like, 15 hours invested. So 15 hours to make 65 grand, or let's just say we lose 30,000. Let's say we make 50 grand. If you divide that up, 15 hours a week to make 50 grand is not a bad return on your investment. So that's kind of the power of real estate. That's the power of working with other people in your community, the power of, squatting up and really, taking action and making stuff happen. So that's just one deal I wanted to showcase. Again, there was literally no money spent on marketing. It was just a driving for dollars. I think he paid $1.50 for the postcard. So, really not much invested. So Anybody have any questions or anything they want to ask about that deal? All right.
Good job, Z. Hey, how about, who's doing all the construction? So who's running the day to day?
John.
Like John is, so he's boots on the ground.
Yeah.
Now, and now what's the return now? So the exchange really is what? Because you've done it, you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
John is now shadowing you, so he's bringing value to you.
Of course.
And is that really what it is? It's like, hey, I'll take this all down. I'll guide you. The lending, everything. I need you on site. We'll talk about the deal together. We'll talk about the materials, what we're going to do. Do you handle all that? Who handles like the design aspect of like, yeah, we're
Yeah.
going to this wall, this cabinet?
Yeah,
Let's
so the
say-
design aspect of it, that's stuff I love to do personally. Sometimes you just can't see the design in front of you because there's a bunch of garbage. But once you start taking the trash out, you can kind of see what makes, for me, it's always about what's the most functional for the buyer, right? You always want to think of your end buyer in this case, like who's going to buy this house? Does it make sense to make it a 4-bedroom, 1-bathroom? Does it make sense to make it a 3-2? You always want to have those design choices in mind. So, John and I went, walked the place. The realtor also came in. We bounced ideas off each other, and at the end of the day we came up with something that we thought was going to appeal to the vast majority of buyers, because you never want to limit your buyer pool. So that's what we did at the end of the day. John, he's done some flips in the past, but this was an opportunity for him and I to work together. There's a lot of spread on it, but even though he's on site, he's not on site every single day. He might be on site a couple of times a week, and there's contractors that we've used in the past. So like today, yesterday I called the roofer guy. He went today. So he went yesterday and today, and he finished the whole roof in 2 days. I didn't have to go there. He went there, he bought the materials from the store. I paid for it. They went, did the work, sent photos, said it's done, and that's it. So sometimes you don't require to be on site. So, the time, you really don't have like a 9 to 5 per se. It's really, it's up to you to set the schedule, and keep yourself accountable. You can just sit back and just relax as well, but you want to stay on top of things and get things moving and knock down any barriers. So, yeah, so it's definitely a win-win for everybody, right? We get to we strengthen the partnership. We do a deal together, we make some money together, and at the end of the day, it's fun for both of us.
So if I was to bring a deal to you, right?
Yeah.
What does that look like? So obviously, hey, Z, I got a deal. I'm in New Hampshire. It's up in, I don't know where, Maine, but it's 2.5 hours from me. I can't be there. I can't be the guy, but would you recommend that probably you'll end up looping in someone like a John too? So we'll do like a 3-way partnership. Would that be something you would do?
Yeah, it really depends, right? So I live in Portland, I have deals all over the place. Like I've got deals 2 hours away, I've got deals an hour away. So what I would do is I would say, well, I would walk the deal for you and be boots on the ground, walk the place, get some photos for you, take my realtor, run some comps, negotiate it if you want me to. Really just kind of see does this deal make sense for, number one, the seller, because that's where our priority is. It's always helping the seller. And number two, is this an opportunity for us to make a profit on the business side? If we can't, we just provide resources to the seller. Hey, go list it. Hey, go do some contractors, go fix it up. Here's a bank, go get a loan, do the renovations yourself or whatever it may be. But I would go do all that stuff. If some of the stuff that I can provide is the financing. We've got a pretty decent network of lenders that we can bring to the table. Being 2.5 hours away, I wouldn't obviously ask you to manage the project. Depending on where it is, I'm more than happy to, or I have sent my project manager out there to do it, or I reach out to Matt. Hey, Matt, this is in Waterville. Do you want to take this project on with Justin? I think it might be good for you. Or say, hey, Chelsea, this is down here in Kennebunk, down in Maine. This might be a better fit for you than me. What do you guys want to do? And I'll just connect you guys. I don't need every single deal. I'm just really here to help other people and support other people to get what they need. Anywhere I can help, I will.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So if anybody has deals anywhere people are stuck, feel free to reach out to anybody in the community. Everybody's willing to help out and lend a hand. Except maybe Matty Slowick. He doesn't help anybody. All right. So that's this deal. Does anybody have any questions on this deal? I know it kind of went a little bit long.
Did somebody already ask you about where you typically find your contractors?
Oh, yeah, so, anybody that just flips, I mean, I think everybody knows like the hardest thing is, finding decent, reliable contractors. People that would come in and, number one, if they know what they're doing, that's always a plus. If they show up, get them a birthday card or something. If they finish on time, I don't know, take out the family to dinner, I don't know. You have to take care of these people that are, taking a load off your back. So, finding a reliable contractor is really hard. The first place I always go to is just ask my realtors in the area if, hey, who do you recommend? Usually most of the people that are good are busy. From there, me personally, there's a couple of Facebook groups in Maine. There's like the Maine real estate group. There's like a Maine contractor connection group. You can go in there and ask what you're looking for and get bids. What I've been doing recently is going into like the actual town. So I would go to like Westbrook community page or whatever, and I'll just, hey, I'm looking for a referral for a plumber. Does anybody have anybody they recommend? And people that are in the city will give you recommendations. So that's kind of where I've been getting them. Referrals are always a good. A great friend of mine always says, trust but verify. Make sure before you do anything, make sure you actually go and look at the work, make sure it's quality, make sure they're able to do it, and things like that. Verify licenses. If you need a license, verify they pull permits. If you need to pull a permit, there's a lot of like pre-planning that happens before any of the projects actually get started, which I think a lot of people don't realize how much pre-planning actually goes into these things, which really helps with the timeline. So, are there any other places that people getting contractors? I know Matt Slowick recommended the vocational centers. People that are just kind of getting out of those trade schools, those are pretty good. Anybody else have any other places they've seen reliable contractors?
The local Facebook groups. We've had some, I can speak for Pennsylvania. It was a cool one where we needed a cleaning right away. And I know it's a cleaning, but how it transpired into other trades and other things. This person was the conduit in this whole entire community. He was a 20-year-old kid, owned a cleaning business in the property that we own, in the compound that we have 2 houses in. And he had 25 cleaning contracts. So think about short-term rentals and their need for constant upkeep and maintenance and all the trades, all the vendors, landscaping, tree removal, everything. So that was in the community page. He responded. Sure, I went through 1 or 2 knuckleheads in there and, folks not understanding what we're asking for, but subsequently that led to multiple relationships. And that's typically how it happens. If you do right by some of these guys, they'll tell their other friends and the other trades, and it usually opens the doors. But I was saying this earlier, there is an expiration date on some of these guys, especially the investor friendly, because as Z knows, and Z might say, it's like, we have to have our pricing to a certain threshold, right? We can't not hire, luxury framers and finished carpenters for everything. Usually it's handyman type general guys who don't mind doing a few different things. That's how we end up that's how we can make deals work and make a living. So, Facebook too. Yeah. Facebook groups. And I know some people do like Home Depot. I think Suzanne was a big fan of Home Depot in the morning early, because if you're an early riser, you're probably a decent worker. Yeah. Unless you haven't gone to bed, then that's a problem.
What you got, Tony?
I was just gonna say, actually, and I've had pretty good luck with Angie's List or Home Advisor, whatever it's called now. A lot of those guys really rely on their reviews and stuff. So if you kind of find someone that has good high reviews on there, they really try to keep those reviews high. So typically they're pretty good, reasonably priced guys that you can work with on there as well. I've had good luck with that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely a relationship based kind of thing, take care of the people that, like I said, take care of the people that take care of you. The people that are good, keep them on. I know there's a couple of people that, we kind of reuse over and over again for roof and siding. There's people that we use specifically for electrical and plumbing now. So it's good to build your network. You should always be like consistently building your network, because Now, people get other opportunities, people want to start their own business, or people want to work for other people, so, in this business, you always want to be constantly, building new connections and networks, and things of that nature. Alrighty, so I kind of wanted to showcase that deal because it's kind of a lot that went into it, right? I mean, the low marketing costs that we had, again, we're just driving around, and we saw distressed property and we, reached out to the homeowner. The JV opportunities to work with other people, you don't feel like you have to do everything by yourself. Have other people take the load off you. And then the third one is, just take action. The first deal I ever did was the worst deal in the history of the deals I've ever done, the most stress I've ever been in my life. And at the end of the day, we got through it and we learned a lot, and we just, roll it over to the next one. So I guess that's kind of what I would take away from that deal going forward. And then I will, does anybody else have any questions? Again, it doesn't have to be related to this thing, but you can ask questions whenever you want. It's a very, open forum.
Z's, Shane had a very good question in the comments.
Oh, sorry, I'm not seeing those.
What are you doing about keeping your guys on timeline as much as possible?
So me personally, yeah, I understand things happen, right? I mean, there's things that happen, but communication, right? Just if something's gonna happen, there's gonna be delay, just please let me know, right? Because again, there's people that are probably, waiting on you to finish your stuff before you get to the next job, right? I mean, you can't really do electrical until you got the framing up. You can't really do, the siding unless you got the windows in or the doors, all the exterior stuff. So me, I just try to tell people like, just communicate with me. Let me know what's happening. If there's an issue, just let me know, and we can always take care of it. Again, I'm pretty flexible, but you want to be firm with people, and you want to stick to timelines, because again, it just screws up other things. One thing that I do is, are there any contractors in here, by the way? I don't know. Are there any? Okay. I personally try to use, so in terms of forms of payment, I try to use like an online payment service, so like Amex or a credit card. I don't ever pay anybody until the work is done to my satisfaction, to what we agreed upon. So it's really, making sure that you're covering yourself and people don't just leave and they're, incentivized timelines to be met, and things like that. So you definitely want to make sure that you're keeping track of those things. And unfortunately, things happen, we're a month behind on one project because the CMP people can't get out there to replace the lines. And whose fault is that? That's nobody's fault. And there's no electricity. That means there's no tools that need to be done, and there's no permit that's gonna be issued from the city. So it's like, these things happen, and you just got to take it case by case and just plan and move on. Honestly, I mean, what are other people doing? I mean, that's kind of what I do.
Z, can I ask you a quick question on that? You mentioned paying with credit card.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on the reason for that, so everyone kind of understands better?
Yeah, so there was a situation where when I was early in my career, people were doing a big project, and someone wanted a lot of money up front, and I just was, to be honest with you, I just wasn't really comfortable with it. So, but again, they wouldn't do any of the work until they got a deposit. So we end up giving them, like 40, 45 or 50 grand to get materials and labor started and stuff like that, and I end up paying with my Amex. Because what happens when you pay somebody cash, or you send them a check, once they get it and the work's not done, they just leave. But with Amex, or another credit card, you can put the charges on there. And if anything were to happen, like a real life example, we paid them $55,000. They did the work for a month and then they just disappeared. We had a contract signed and everything. They didn't want to do the work. I said, okay, well, again, I try to make it work. What can you do, and what can you do to refund me and stuff like that? And they just went ghost. So I just hit up my homeboy at Amex, submitted disputes. Within 24 hours, there was $55,000 back in my account. And then now they don't deal with me, they deal with Amex. And now it's up to them to prove their case that, hey, we actually did the work and did this, this, and this. And it's most of the time that it never goes through. So it's that saved me a couple of times. One time, again, like 50,000, other times like 8,500. So me, I don't really care now. I'll pay somebody their deposit, and for the materials, or I don't care. Because I know at the end of the day, if you don't finish the work, I just go to Amex.
How do you pay somebody who doesn't accept credit card payments?
You set up a Stripe account for them, you set up a QuickBooks account for them, you set up an online payment for them. I'm telling you, the people that work in Santiago, they didn't even know what a cell phone was. And now they have Stripe and they send me invoices left and right. I'm like, whoa, slow down. So it doesn't, it's good for somebody's business, right? I mean, if you want more business, you want to do more money, no one's carrying around 50 grand in a duffel bag to give you, right? So it's it makes it easier for everybody because I never have cash on hand. It's always invested. So I just charge the card, they get paid, life moves on, and everybody's happy, right? So yeah. I think QuickBooks, Stripe, there's another one out there somewhere, but I'm sure there's a lot of online payment methods that people use.
There's Square as well. That's what I
Yeah.
use.
Yeah, Square is good too. Yeah. Yeah, my plumbers use Square. But yeah,
Thank you. I feel like that's just like a good homeowner, anyone, right? Like any person doing work on their house, like that's perfect for them to be able to dispute. Because I mean, we hear horror stories, right? Especially investing and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
that's a really great, trick to know and understand that you're not the one chasing them down. Amex is. That's really cool.
yeah, because if you think about what happens, oh, sorry, just 1 second. If you think what happens is like, let's say you pay somebody with a check. Okay, now you want to take it to court. Okay, well, how much money are you going to spend on a lawyer to retain them and go to the court fees? At the end of the day, it's like they know it's not worth anybody's time, right? They already know the game. So you don't want to waste your time and money because it's already gone. So it bypasses that whole legal process as well, where at the end of the day, you might not even make anything. So yeah, if you haven't been screwed by a contractor, you're not in real estate, I don't think. So it's coming to everybody. McTizick, what up?
Is your Amex personal?
No, man, it's all business. So yeah, we can talk about that stuff if you want. So everything is, you definitely want to separate your personal expenses from your business expenses for liability purposes, but also, once you start building up that business credit, you go to your homeboy at the key bank, get a line of credit on that business, and you're making, you're doubling the bank's money on your behalf. So yeah, you really, you really want to protect yourself from a legal perspective, set up an LLC, set up a corporation, whatever you feel like is best, with your lawyer and CPA. It doesn't mean you can't do it in your personal name. I just wouldn't recommend it. It doesn't really cost that much to set up. I think it's like a couple $100 at the Secretary of State website. And, you get an EIN number, you can open up a business account. You can use that for lines of credit. You can use that for, a bunch of different products. Yeah, if you don't have an LLC or some sort of, corporate structure, I would highly recommend doing that. Along that point of business credit, I'll be honest, I'll save it for later, I guess. All right. Anybody have any horror stories with contractors they want to share? Does anybody have? Yes, go ahead, Santiago.
The lesson of never paying a contractor until they're 100% completed with the job. Not 95% done, not 98% done, 100% done. Had a plumber one time who was supposed to get a rough inspection. Upon getting his signature sign off for the rough inspection, I was supposed to give him a check for like $8,000 or $9,000.
Damn.
He calls me the day before the inspection was supposed to happen. He's like, "Hey, I got the inspection scheduled for tomorrow. I'm gonna pass. I already tested all the pipes and everything like that. We'll be good to go. If you pay me today instead of waiting until tomorrow, I'll give you $1,000 discount." So I was like, "Sweet, I'm saving $1,000." And I never got the rough inspection signature from him. And I ended up having to fire him, lost, I think, $8,000 and had to hire a new plumber.
Hey, man, unfortunately, these stories are like, they're very common, but yeah, it's an expensive lesson.
Yeah, exactly. So what I thought was gonna save me $1,000 ended up losing me $8,000. So I'd rather just, nope, that's fine. I'm happy to wait. I'll pay you your money when you get it.
That's like, that's a pretty good scam they got going on over there.
See that, yeah.
And some people are like wondering, like, well, why won't people just finish the work? Who the hell knows? You know, no one knows. It's just in their blood, I guess. I have no idea. But again, once you find a good contractor, just take care of them. It just saves you so much headache. It's ridiculous. Alrighty. Okay, so that's this project. The other project I want to talk about is 10 Enfield Drive. Let me see where that is. So 10 Enfield Drive. Actually, let's answer this question. How to get 55,000 approved credit card with the bank? Do you want to take that, Matizik, if you're still online? Or he's away. So basically, as a business owner, there's actually a couple ways to do it. I know with Amex, even if you have a personal account, you can actually apply for a business card. And it'll all be under your linked, and they can use, I think, your personal credit to get a higher line of credit for the business account. But also, if you show receipts at your bank saying, hey, I got this receipt, I got this order, I got this check, you can leverage that to get some lines of credit as well. I know for my Amex, there's no specific limit on it, but it really kind of depends on my spending habits. And so they'll tier it every month. So if I'm spending 30 grand a month, they'll take it down to 30. If I'm spending 80 grand a month, they'll take up to 80 grand. So it kind of really it depends on your spending habits as well. But yeah, show obviously you can go through like business credit counseling as well to get that stuff, just apply for credit cards and, build up your business credit score. That's one way. The other one is, again, go to your local bank or credit union or whatever you use, show them, hey, this is how much activity I have in my business account. Based on this, what can I do to get a line of credit, as the business has collateral? They'll do something for you. And then the other one was, I forgot the other one was, but there's a lot of options for you. There's a lot of options out there for getting lines of credit just based on your EIN number for your business. Yeah, there's also services out there that actually say, I'll get you $250,000 of 0% interest on your credit cards. If you have good credit score, that's actually a good way to do it. Then you pay a couple $1,000, but you'll get those funds available for you. If you need help with the business credit stuff, Anthony McTizik is your guy. I don't know if someone can put his information in the chat, get him some referrals or something. All right, so I will show you. So I just kind of want to showcase different deals and how you found them and stuff like that. So this deal is 10 Enfield Drive. This is in Andover, Massachusetts. So how this deal came about is my good friend Janice. She is a unicorn agent down in the Cape Cod area, or that's where she vacations. So this deal is actually her sister-in-law, something where it's the brother's wife. That's sister-in-law, yeah, sister-in-law. So I think this was a probate deal, which means that I think the parents passed away, and this house was left to the personal representative or the executor of the estate, which in this case happened to be their daughter. And so she was in charge of selling the estate or, selling the houses and get all the finances secured. So this house came about because they were about to go and sell the house to another person. And then Janice was made aware. And then she's like, well, let me reach out to my network and see if there's somebody that wants to buy it from us. She reached out to me and she said, hey, Z, this is a property that they want to sell off market. The numbers look really good on it. It's in the family. I can probably, get you in there to take a look and we can possibly do a deal together. I said, okay. Yeah. So she went there, took some photos. We gave them the price they were looking for. So they think they wanted to stay under $600,000 because of the Massachusetts tax. I forgot what it was now. If someone knows, like the inheritance tax or whatever it is. So they want to stay under a specific price point, and they had another offer, I think that was higher than ours, but they ended up going with us because we're more willing to help them with the situation, make it a very easy, convenient close, and things like that. So, we got the property under contract, we gave them, we closed on their timeline. I think maybe like 2 months or 3 months for them to get all their affairs in order. So we ended up buying the house, I think, for $530,000. We ended up paying Janice $10,000 for the assignment fee. Janice is also an agent, so she will list the property for us if we decide to sell it on market. And she'll make a commission on her side. So we bought the property, we looked at it. And personally, I had a budget in mind. San Diego came and blew that budget out of the water. So, here we are with this place. But, the profit aside, the biggest thing about this property is it was, look at, that's the seller and that's that handsome guy right there. So the biggest thing about this property is, we basically opened up this project to the whole Subto community. And what we wanted to do is, we want to show you how you can work together, squad up with other people in your area, and, get involved in a flip. Doing a flip is not easy, especially in Massachusetts where prices are insane. So, get involved, make design choices, feel like you're part of the project and stuff like that. So I think at the closing table, obviously Janice is a realtor, and Subto. I'm a Subto student. Katie Tumanowski, which is Justin's wife, she's an insurance an agent. She was the one who gave us insurance on the property. Eric, he was our private lender out of California. He is also a Subto student. And then there's also Sharky, who is the project manager. So at the time of closing, we had 5 Subto students already in the project. And Sharky's idea was, well, let's see how much people we can get involved in this project. So I think to date, I don't know, is Lily or Pavi or anybody else on that can talk a little more about it? But I think to this point, we have like 25 to 30 people directly involved in the project. And then there's like, I think 70 total Subto students or referrals or something like that. So our goal is to get to 100 people involved in the project. And what does being involved mean? It means like, giving referrals for dumpsters, getting referrals for plumbers, getting referrals for, floor guys, somebody that wants to come and do the electrical work. If somebody wants to come and do the paint, somebody wants to design the cabinets, pick the colors, pick the countertops, backsplash, there is no, there's no big or small. It's a way to just get involved in a project. And, I think this is probably one of my favorite projects. Without looking at the numbers, it's my favorite projects. But it's an opportunity for everybody in the community to come together, put their hands in something, and make it something great for the next family to come into. So it's a project I'm most proud of. It's a project that I really want to see at the end. And I think once it's complete, we'll all get together there and just kind of show the final product and maybe host an event or something, and reward all the people that were involved. So so we found the deal through Janice. We financed it through the private money lender. So we end up paying Eric 30 grand on this deal, flat fee. So he provided us with $650,000, 545 or so, 550,000 of that was for the closing costs, the assignment fee, the insurance, and the paid to the seller. So that left us with $100,000 in renovation budget, which I thought was reasonable. So that's what the funds were used for. Let's see. So the day of closing, I went down to sign the documents because I wanted to get the keys and look at the property and do some stuff. There ended up being a tornado, which the closing attorney actually can't make it. But anyways, the underwriting of the deal. So when we underwrote the deal, I think the CMA came to around 850 to 900,000, something around there. So if we were to do all that stuff and spend, $650,000, once we go to sell it, we end up making between $100,000 and $200,000, depending on where all the final costs come to. So, $100,000 to $150,000 to $200,000. Well, probably $100,000 to $150,000 is what's reasonable now. But again, that is a great turnaround for a project where, again, I don't want to say I haven't been involved in that much, but it's really where, the subject community and also, Sharkey was able to take that project and manage it and take it to the finish line, hopefully the next month or so, and we'll get that listed. But yeah, that's the other project. Again, this is the one I'm most proud of. This is the one that is near and dear to my heart, and it's going to be a great house. And I think there's an updated photo somewhere. I don't know if I have the link. If Pavi or Lily or someone else in the community is available, I'll have them show photos. Or actually, Lily, do you have access to the folders, or do I? See. There's somewhere. I just don't have access to it. Okay, so that's 10 Enfield Drive. Again, this is a little bit different because it came from a realtor. I know a lot of us go direct to seller, and going to an agent is not. It's hard to find deals on market, so they say. So, but there's a lot of opportunities networking with agents, sending you off market stuff, running comps for you and things like that. So, definitely utilize agents in your area. Yeah, I mean, I think that's that aspect of it. No, thanks, Lee. So I know we are a little bit over on this project itself. Let me see here. Where are the photos? Okay, let me share this screen. We're a little bit over on the budget, but again, it's that's normal to see a lot of flips you do. So what have we done to this project lately? We have done a ton of landscaping in the front. Thank you, Santiago, for the referral for the person that came in, cut all these trees out and regraded it. I know they pressure washed the house. These photos could be a little bit older. I know on the inside, they repainted most of the houses, cleared out all the trash. I know that the hardwood floors are going to get refinished. The bathrooms are getting gutted. See what else is anything significant. So I think the majority of the work, there was a lot of electrical work that needed to be done. None of the bedrooms had any recessed lighting anywhere, so running wires up there. The kitchen was completely gutted. This wall right here has been removed. It's actually an LVL, so to make it more open space. And the cabinets, I think, arrived. These are all new hardwood floors now. So once these all get refinished, they all look really nice. The kitchens has arrived, so these kitchens will be here. There was a new heating system installed. There was a septic. So one thing I didn't know in Massachusetts is like Title 5 or 4 or something about the septics. You really need to. Somebody got to be responsible for the septic before you close, and that's a very expensive thing to do. So. In our case, we just got rid of the septic and ended up doing a connecting to the city sewer. Yeah, I think that cost like 15, I think I want to say 15, 13, 15, something like that, to do that instead of having to put a brand new septic in, which is pretty cool. Let's see here. Do you need a stager? I think we will stage this house because of the price point. Are you a stager, Joe? Or do you know somebody or?
Yes, I would love to be able to provide that services. It's not me, it's my partner's wife, and she's award winning and she's from the area.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Yeah, for sure. We will. Are you based in Massachusetts or where are you at?
I am Stoneham, Mass.
Like Stoneham, Mass. Okay, I think that's pretty close, right?
I'm sorry, Stoneham, Mass. So it's like right outside of Boston.
Okay, very cool. Sounds good. Are you in Subto, Joe, or no?
No, I just joined the Gator community, so they're telling me to do one thing at a time.
Okay, cool. We will.
Sorry about the background there. It's my youngest.
No, yeah. Do you want to share? I know it's 617. Is that your cell phone number? We'll just keep it.
Correct.
We'll definitely give you a ring. That's something you want to do. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So for people that so me personally, this will be the first house I do staging in. I've heard a lot of good things about staging. You spend $3,000 or $4,000, you'll get 12,000 back, or 10 to 12,000 back. It definitely helps with the higher end homes, and especially you want to stand out in your market. So definitely look into staging, hiring a staging company to do that when you're doing your flips. It does make it a little bit more of a personal touch for the homeowners. Has anybody done staging in their house before? I know Santiago does like a virtual staging, which is pretty cool.
So just back to, but for what it's worth, we've done it on 2 of our flips and I've got nothing but positive things to say.
Good.
I did staging at my flip as well
Where was that, Anthony?
in Springfield.
Okay. Who'd you use? You got use somebody local or used?
So actually I used Q Hamilton.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so Jeff's way. Okay, great. What did you guys end up spending on the staging, by the way, and how much you think it?
I want to say our staging was about $900.
Okay, good.
And if you want to see it, just go to, actually, I'll put the link in. It's 57 Notre Dame in Springfield. I'll put the link in the chat.
Yeah, put a link in. What do yeah, Santiago, calm down. We'll take the $900. What do you typically spend, Joe? I mean, what are you guys typically spending on yours? Or investing, I guess.
So Z, I was looking to actually have it be done at no cost to you and the team. Obviously, I would expect maybe if there was like referrals down the road that could be worked out, but I would be paying for it myself, and we have all our own furniture and everything.
Oh, no, I appreciate that. That's very generous of you. No, we'll take care of you. I was just kind of curious to kind of see price points, because I know that they do like, sometimes I know they do like the living room and like a bathroom, but I don't know, do they do like a certain number of bedrooms? Is it a dining room? Like, what do they actually, how do you calculate a price?
So it's not my area of expertise. I would not want to be able to like speak on her behalf, but like I can tell you because it's our business and it's all in the family. We could definitely get that to you guys for no cost. It could be the whole house. But if you wanted to like learn more about how she prices, that would just be for her.
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to speak to it.
That's fine.
But I will send links to the 2 properties we've done. They look like something out of a Pottery Barn magazine.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, send that over, put that in the chat. We'll take a look at it. Definitely send referrals your way. Nick, you used the company. I don't know if you're online. So Nick Dulac did one in Saco.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little about, so what was included and what you guys end up paying for it?
Yeah, so we paid $3,500.
Okay.
We did the bathroom, the kitchen, 2 bathrooms. We did an office, the primary room, and then the kitchen and living room.
So basically like every room except maybe 1 or 2 bedrooms, is that right?
Yeah, we just left 2 bedrooms empty. And it was about 1,400 square feet.
Yeah, that's pretty decent.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. We got quotes from, I want to say, because Allie took care of it. It was like 2 or 3 other companies. They were like 5,100. I think another one was like 6,000. So I think we got a good deal for it.
6,000. That's crazy.
Yeah.
This is pretty decent, McTissick, for the amount of money. It seems pretty decent. Just the small touches makes a big difference, you know. All right. Santiago, what do you pay for your virtual stuff? Is that free or what?
The professional photographer that my agent hires, when they are able to do it in the price that she pays for her professional photographer.
So the photographer just photoshops, is that right?
Yeah, so either the photographer helps her do it, or she basically goes off of his photos and she digitally will add in some of the virtual staging. And then on top of the virtual staging, she does like light staging, little touches like on the counter, little candles in the bathroom vanities and things like that.
Okay.
Hey,
Go ahead.
sorry, if anybody wants to know, we got 25 over asking, so it was pretty aggressive.
Nice. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things. A lot of people say you should be doing the staging aspect of it. You always get your money back. So let's see what this stuff looks like. Where is my See, I want to see what Joe's look like real quick. Well, I mean, speaking of staging, I mean, what about furnishing? I mean, I know Justin's done a couple of short-term rentals and Airbnbs. You know, is the staging any different from the furnishing? Or is that very similar or what?
You're talking about for staging?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just wondering if, you know, the furnishing aspect is any different than like the staging. Is it the same design choices, or like how do you guys make the differences?
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's like personally speaking and opinion-based speaking. There was a time and place. So just think about this aspect, and maybe you guys covered it. Sorry, and my apologies. I left for a second, but you know, there was a time and point where you obviously home staging was not necessary. You know, you can put, you know, anything on the market and it would sell.
Yeah.
So we're obviously starting to see the things now where you want to see, you want to see design aspects. And I think even like the virtual staging is very tough. Yeah, it has to be done well and it has to be done right, or it looks, you know, cheap. But as far as like the short-term rentals, yeah, I mean, it's completely different. It's a different ball game. I mean, you even go to some of these staging, it's like a cardboard TV, you know, they don't necessarily use the real TV, that the beds are essentially like, you know, cardboard box springs with sheets on them. So
Yeah, I see
not
that.
everybody, but yeah, I don't know. We're going to start to see it take off again. We're going to see more and more of it as you need to sell. If folks need to sell a property in the best light.
So is the staging paid at closing or is it paid upfront, I guess? What's the contract for the staging stuff?
I don't know. Alexa used Terraform projects. Yeah.
Okay.
Alexa and I are doing a project right now together. We're buying a 2-family next week. I don't know. I don't know that answer. I've never hired a stager, you know?
Mine was paid at closing.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to want to get paid.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah, it's going to be dependent on the relationship you have, right? So out of the gate, you know, if there's no relationship, that's going to be different versus one that's transpired over time.
go for sure. Alrighty, so yeah, if anybody wants to get involved, if anybody wants to come take a look at the house, you're more than welcome to. Again, it's work in progress, but hopefully get it wrapped up fairly soon. Is anybody in Andover by chance? Okay.
I'm a short drive away.
Yeah, you're definitely close by. Yeah, if you want to use the software that I was using, it was called Flip Force, but now it's called Upright or something, Upwork or something like that. You can use Santiago's code and support the brother. All right, so that's kind of what I talk about those two projects. I kind of want to segue over to like raising private capital and stuff like that. Does anybody have any other questions? It could be about anything before we move on. Questions, comments, concerns, you know, like what's stopping you from flipping, you know, fears and stuff like that.
No, Connor had a question earlier he put in the chat. I'm not sure if he's around. He had something Cape Cod.
Sorry, what is that? I'm sorry, the chat was kind of
He just wanted to, he was stuck on a deal. So I don't know the exact question, but wasn't sure if he doesn't have his camera on, so he might not be here.
I have a deal I'm stuck on. It would be my first. Okay, 6 replies. We're about Cape Cod. It would be a hybrid deal. Yeah. So Connor, whenever you're back in, if you are still here, just let us know, and we can go through that deal. If it's a hybrid in Cape Cod, I mean Cape Cod, that's pretty nice area. We have a couple people out there, I think.
Hello.
Hey Connor, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing? Sorry, I'm just had to step out for a minute, but just overheard you talking about me. But yeah, no. So I've just been kind of just came across, I guess, organically or naturally, some different deals in the creative financing. This is like, I guess, the most current one. The other ones really didn't go through. But yeah, basically, in a nutshell, the seller has like just about 50% equity in the property.
Okay.
And they owe the rest in a mortgage. And the main Um, question I guess I had was in relation to with the hybrid, what is the best way, or maybe in this situation, to come up with the other, like doing a subject to for the mortgage, and then how do you come up with the other half on the deal? I've been hearing a lot about partnerships and stuff like that, and I think that's probably closer to a reasonable way of doing this.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just tell you my perspective of it. Everybody has their own opinions. Me personally, I always approach it of like, what does the seller need, right? I mean, the seller's got a house, he's got some equity, and he wants to sell it. Well, what does he want to do? What is he? Does he need all the money up front? Does he want to, downsize? Does he want to, does he have another house that he's moving to and he just wants to, leave this? So, I mean, me personally, I always base the conversation off their motivation and what they're trying to accomplish. Based off that, then you can just kind of, wiggle your way one way or the other versus like seller financing or doing a hybrid or even partnering up or keeping as a long-term or midterm rental or whatever, or you're flipping it. But I think the most important thing I think most people try to get is, what's their motivation, what's their timeline. Those are the two most important things. The condition of the property and the price doesn't really matter. It's really, what's their motivation and what they're looking to do.
Yeah.
Once you find that out, do you know what they were looking to do?
Yeah, I mean, I've gone, pretty extensive with it. They just had some, weariness about this and that. I'm probably not voicing it so professionally, talking with them, but they are open to like doing a creative financing. They understand that they're going to lose money if they sell it on the market and close that way. They can't access any equity out of the property themselves because they're living on Social Security.
Okay.
They're living at the bottom. They're renting rooms up on the top floor. It's technically a single family, but it's more laid out like a 2-family or like a 1-family with a rooming kind of thing on the top. They're old. They're looking to get out, but one of the owner, the couple, wants to be able to keep access to a barn on the back of the property for agreed upon amount of time, and that's why they were considering doing it in a creative financing way with somebody that would be open to that. Yeah.
What are you looking for? You're looking for someone to come and help you with the closing aspect of it? I mean, what do you need?
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, they want, like, they have a specific number that they would need down, and I'm just trying to figure out a way of
How much is that?
generate. What's that?
How much do they need down?
They want like 300,000. The property is valued at around, we'll just say $1 million. They owe a little over 500 on the mortgage.
Okay.
And they said that they would need they would do a subject to, and then they would want at least $300,000 down, and then maybe work out like a seller financing for
What are the $300,000 for?
to relocate. They don't have any other location. They would probably want to get a condo or something and pay for it and just continue on their life. They live on Social Security, and yeah, they're just sick of dealing with the tenants upstairs and the headache and the yeah.
I'm not too well versed in the laws, but I think even if you're on Social Security, even though if it's your primary residence and you sell, you don't get taxed on it, on the gains. Social Security still checks that bank account, if I'm not mistaken, right? Is that a true statement, or is it out there?
No, the sale of the property is excluded, but it's up to a certain amount of money though.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, the gain of a residential
Yeah.
is okay.
Yeah, the gains.
Most
fine.
times. Yeah. you know, but then there's certain things if they were avoiding like nursing homes and all that, that
Oh
could
my God.
come into play, but
So,
that's going down a different path or liens. But
yeah, I mean, I think honestly, me personally, again, I'm not Justin, but it's very hard to find another place for someone unless you have something available for them to move into, because now you're one side is you're hoping to get a deal. Another thing is now you got to find them a place to move to that they're gonna like and they can afford, and the timeline that it's a really, me personally, I just don't have that. I don't have those resources unless I have a property available to move them into. You know, so and again, when you buy another house, how are they buying that house now? Do they need the money now? Do they need to sell their house in order to get to that place? You know, it's just kind of like a circular effect. So, I don't know what do other people in the group have for ideas and suggestions? The only thing I can think of, if the interest rate is not crazy, maybe do a Morby method or something, but or if you're going to bring a private lender, but again, $300,000 is a lot to bring in. So I don't know what other people think could be some solutions. Could they rent?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think it would be worth it for them to kind of just, you know, leave. It wouldn't be enough to maybe short term. I'm not sure. I mean, that's the other thing too, is the barn. It's right in the back of the property, but the barn has the potential for them to live in there. They would have to, like, you know, make some improvements or, you know, add a bathroom and stuff like that. But that was one idea that they had thought. But that can get, you know, complicated. But yeah, I don't know if anybody wants to talk maybe more about it after or something like that.
it's only 30% they're looking for, right?
Yes, of the total. Yeah.
Yeah.
Value.
So, I mean, you could offer something along the lines of like, well, hey, if we find, you know, if you find a condo at 200,000, you
Mhm.
know, could you work with me on getting that other 100,000 and you know, or the rest of that equity? So, I mean, you can hit a threshold like, because you then depends on the cash flow. Like you would obviously keep this as a midterm, short term. Would that be
Yeah.
the play?
Yeah.
Yeah. So depending on the income and whatever, you might find someone at $200,000 that wants a private money partner with you though. You know, it's not out of the question. It just
Mhm.
depends on the return. So the cash injected. So think about
Yeah.
this, the cash that's injected, and you know this, and then just what's the return, the gain on that, or the return on that.
Sure.
And your private money partner might go, oh, cool. If that's a 16%, 17, 18% cash on cash return, I'm down with that, you know? So don't count the $300,000 out of the question. Just, and then
Okay.
what you want to do is just chip away maybe at that 2 to 3, see how the cost of entry to be lower.
Yeah.
Of course, but depending on the cash flow might make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the thing is any condo in the South Shore, anywhere near Cape Cod or anything like that is like minimum 375 minimum kind of thing. But yeah, no, that's good to consider.
Again, and again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but like, I never, don't put your brain in that realm. Even if they say, don't put your brain in their brain, or don't put but to kind of discount yourself, being like, oh, nope, that's 375, anything minimum. I don't roll like that. Like personally, I'm going like, how do you get there? How do you do it? Yes.
Yeah.
Things take time. Things are hard to achieve, but if it's worth it, you'll find a way. You'll go off market. You'll let everybody in this dang, you know, group know what you're
Yeah.
looking for, and everyone will know. So, again, it's all on how good the deal is. And the other thing is, you know, put a contract together, solidify your position in there, give yourself a long runway, and be the deal hunter for them. Maybe you are doing the deal hunting for them, and you're going to be able to control it. And I know, again, that's a slippery slope, and it takes up a lot of time, but sometimes we cut our teeth that way, and you know, and you got to just do some of the hard stuff to get the deal you want. So.
Yeah.
Another thing also is, Connor, like, they might say they want 300,000, but they might not really need 300,000. You never know. You know, like there's people say, hey, I need this, but what do you really need? You know,
Yeah.
if they're just looking to get out of a situation, I mean, renting is not a bad option, honestly. You give them renting, you say, hey, you know what, we'll give you X amount of money a year until you figure out what you want to do. That works too. I
I'm gonna
mean,
pull a HELOC.
yeah,
Might be an expensive HELOC.
well,
Well,
they
the
might not
other
be able to, might not be able to afford it, that's the problem.
I know. That's why you look at the
Yeah.
cash flow, but that would be a way that you get low entry fee
Yeah.
is if you're down to pay that HELOC, but
Yeah.
sorry, Z, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. Again, these are all great options. I know. I just want to make sure, like, they just because they say something doesn't also means what they need. So, yeah, feel free to reach out to anybody that you want to help out in the deal. I don't know what Cape Cod or something.
Yes.
Yeah, so whoever wants to go down there, I'm sure they can, put your information in the chat, and someone will reach out to you. If you want to come to Maine, I got a condo in my backyard. They can get for pretty cheap.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
Alrighty.
thank you.
Yeah, sure. Anybody else got a deal they want to talk to? Anybody else that's stuck somewhere that needs some advice? I don't know, how can we provide value to your business and to get to where you want to be? Don't feel shy. I mean, we're all starting from the same place. We're all trying to uplift each other. So, nobody has anything. I'm more than happy to talk about private money. Okay, let's talk about private money. So basically, private money. What is it? Where do we find it? Are we hitting up a bank with 4 or 5 people with a getaway car? Sometimes, but private money is. I think what you find out in real estate is not all of us have endless trunks of money available. So we've got to either partner with people, get other money from other resources to get deals done in order to, scale the business. So, hard money, if I think what most people are aware of is, an institution you go to, they'll charge you a couple of points, they'll run your credit, they'll check the deal, they check on you. And if they are happy with you and the deal, then they'll, ask for a specific down payment and things like that. Private money is, people that are like, you or I, a doctor or nurse, they're private people that have funds sitting around that they want to get a double-digit return on, and able to park that money with you and invest it in your deals. So you can do deals, they can get paid, and everyone's happy. So, that's kind of what private money is, and that's kind of what why we want it. Me personally, I probably have, I don't know, maybe like $2.5–3 million in private money now with the people that I work with. And those people are getting a flat fee sometimes they're getting interest only payments. It just kind of really depends on who they are, what the relationship is, what the deal is, and kind of the structure and stuff like that. So again, we need private money to scale the business, buy more deals, pay contractors, whatever relates to the business side of things. We should always be raising private money at all times, no matter what. Yes, go ahead, Blair.
What's up? Can you hear me?
A little bit low, I guess, on my end anyways.
Hello, check.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, kind of a private money question tying into the previous question from Connor. If you have a deal like that, like let's say purchase price is $1 million, as is value is like 1.3 or something. So it's like there's some meat on the bone for sure. And you need to, but you have this 300,000 delta. I guess like would you structure some sort of private money equity deal? Assuming that there's no credit from the sellers, like, they can't do a HELOC, they can't do any kind of other mortgage. So you're looking at like a Subto first position, second position seller finance note, and then you have this 300,000 delta, but the equity in it is like big, and the cash flow would also be big. So it's like it's not nothing. Why'd you quit?
Sorry, 1 second, guys. I apologize.
good.
Someone else wants to take a question. Go ahead.
Justin, any thoughts from you on that? I don't know if you would mess with that sort of thing.
Bro, I didn't even hear all of it. I'm actually
It's all good.
responding to someone right now on my
It's all good.
Facebook. So I'm so sorry.
No biggie.
Condense it really quickly again.
Yeah. Purchase price is $1 million, or as is value is 1.3. First position Subto for a third of it. Second position seller finance for a third of it. The delta is 300,000. So you're looking to raise that money. There's good cash flow and there's good equity from the bat. So would you structure a private money in an equity position, assuming that there's no way to get the seller, they have no credit or bad credit?
So you look how to bring in a private money partner and how to get, and then what about the seller? They have no credit. What does that?
So
have to-
they can't do like a Morby method. They can't take out a HELOC or anything like that. So there's no kind of way to have them take out a new loan and flip it.
Sure,
So it's like
that's
you need
fine.
to come to the table with it.
Well, yeah, and the Morby method too is like usually you're bringing the capital in, you're getting the DSCR. I mean, there's a few ways we can do those, but they're just holding paper for you on the Morbies. But private money partner guys, I mean, those are the best situations with someone who wants to plant that capital in there for a little while. Yeah, you want to give them equity. They're not coming in there usually just for cash flow. So get in the deal, give them what they want, unless.
But do you see like these kind of like 6-figure, private money lenders doing this sort of thing? I mean,
Yeah.
I've talked to like one so
Yeah.
far.
Yeah. And they're harder to find, guys, because listen, $200,000, $300,000 goes a long way. Like we could utilize that and go really far with it. How many deals can we buy? We make great little returns on these $20,000 deals, these $20,000 wraps and these Subto deals that we buy. And there's like 15 on deck right now. And now we're just doing a little 20. Lily's here somewhere. She's been seeing a bunch of those. The cycle of that money you're making is quick. However, if you want someone to plant their money, their capital into a steady return, yeah, if they're into that and that's something they want. But just going with like, what is it, a short-term rental?
It would be like a midterm rental or a pad split type of situation. Because it's like it's a huge single family. And there's a lot of opportunity for something like a rooming house, a midterm rental possibly, but I kind of doubt it. But a pad split would be ideal.
What about what we're seeing, like assisted living, group home, like those are the staples where you bring in a triple net lease, where you bring in an operator, where you get a substantial amount of revenue that comes in. I might not see someone who's so bullish unless it's mountaintops, ocean, a really cool spot.
Yeah, I mean, like it'd be like semi beach or whatever. But I guess like for those type of ideas, my thought would be you would need to acquire the property first and then kind of like go through some kind of program, some approval situation unless you're purchasing it with them. I don't know. I haven't done any sober stuff.
Yeah, and I wouldn't touch it unless you bring in an operator for that. So again, that's the operator. But then you open up a door of grants where you might not even have to do all these things. Or you bring in a private money lender to buy it, like you said, temporarily, and this person goes, oh no, I have grants already ready to go. Like they're doing this like you can do a wholesale deal or like you can dispose something, and they come in and they just go, the grant is already approved and paid for, and they know the people to put in. So it's all on strategy. But to answer your question, how I think you were asking or alluding to on the first one is like, for someone to come in with $200,000-$300,000 on a short-term rental, right now, people are watching where they're putting their money. STRs, MTRs are taking it on the chin right now a little bit, but that's when you want to run into them. Typically you want to run into these deals like that. But yeah.
Okay, cool. So just kind of seeing what other people would do, because it's like a lot of money from what I'm kind of used to talking about in underwriting of, more like 5-figure stuff.
It better pencil more than one thing though. Pad split's usually the lower end of things too, just so you know, like it's been getting a wrap of because you don't want to be in a class A, class B neighborhood. You want to be in class C and you don't want D. You want to be in that working class neighborhood. Transit, public transportation. Those typically are not.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of weird because there's a few properties in the last year I've had that are very bizarre single families that are, 8 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, 4,000 square feet, just super not usable to the normal buyer. But they're in not bad neighborhoods. They're in like decent, areas of Worcester or outside of Boston, and it's like it's not, like people are getting good rent, so it's kind of like a weird thing. I don't know. I kind of don't know what to do with them. Sorry, it's like a taking over.
It's good. It's good for people to listen to this because listen, the strategies need to change a little bit. And I think that like, yeah, you have these big, like old 1900 homes. They've been renovated a few times. There's tons of bedrooms. There's 2 kitchens. There's a butler entry or like a back staircase. There's all these cool things. There's a little carriage house. How do you utilize these? We had one up in New Hampshire next to us where I was brought in to put condos in it. And the church said no, that had the deal. They found an owner occupier. Oh, so they thought. This person came in and moved in a bunch of sober living and the town went berserk. So you have to watch that aspect of it too. Like, you can't just throw anything in these towns and in these areas. Obviously it's zoning, but you're going to have to start utilizing those old properties and maximizing what they can do.
Well, that's kind of the thing. Like, do you know Patrick Sullivan? Sober home guy in Madison, New Hampshire.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was just with him in Arizona.
Sick. Oh, really? He was there?
Oh, no. I was thinking Patrick in Florida.
Oh, no. He's a big I think he owns 40% of sober living in Massachusetts right now. Is what he just told me the other day.
Interesting.
But it is a huge process. He was telling me he will never work in Fitchburg again because it's like he's in a lawsuit with them and all this stuff. So that's kind of why my earlier question of like, there's so much due diligence and so much like paperwork between when you can actually open the sober living home that, how do you get your foot in the door, as like a wholesaler or even someone that's going to take it down, hold it for like a couple months and then, sell it.
You got to know your zoning. You got to know what to look for. That's really what it is. That's straight up.
Yeah.
You got to know what markets are like. All right. And I know we're going into a different area, but a friend of mine, one of my partners were in Pennsylvania when I was just with him. And he's like, hey, I just found a loophole in some middle of nowhere college town. So he's buying in college football towns and he's opening his short terms there because they're dominating. And he goes, this one area, they have one big hotel and that's it. And there's such a demand. So subsequently, he found a loophole where he took a commercial mixed use and is making it a rooming. He's cutting it up and it's in that zoning. He knows enough. And they said, oh yeah, that's labeled as hotel too. So now he's cutting up it was a grocery store, it was a tattoo parlor, it was something else. And he's knocking all the walls down and he's putting living on the first floor, but it's commercial because it's so you can be smarter than the average bear and you can just adapt to the antiquated, zoning laws and you can adapt them to today's practices, but you just need to be smart enough and or know what to look for. So if you get really good at a market and really good at an area, you can do those things. You just need to know, but you got to stick with one thing.
That's the thing I was just going to say. Like, I can't spend time looking at zoning and learning the ins and outs of sober living if I'm just wholesaling. So I think the move is to probably just pass that along or something.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks for the input. I appreciate it.
That's on the dispo guys. Like the dispo guys should know who to go for and when to go for. And hey, look at this. Take a look at this. This is and they know who to dish it off to for like the sober living guy.
But I am the dispo guy.
Well, you better start getting your game together, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Alrighty. So a lot of loans are private money. So like I said, everybody should always be raising capital. I mean, it's just part of the business. It's something that you need to constantly do, whether it's your deal, some other people's deals. You always need funds. So it's a really good skill set to have. So I think I started off with hard money, but I think the most of the people that I started with was actually within the Subto community. Basically just telling people the deals I had, what I was doing, kind of obviously cemented myself as somebody that's responsible and trustworthy and things of that nature. So raising private capital should be, I think, at the top of a lot of people's minds. So that's kind of how I started. But so I think there's a couple of misconceptions about the money itself. It's not just always cash. I have a friend of mine who lent money from her IRA. So I think she had lent, $35,000 from her IRA. Because it was the way that her IRA worked, her taking the money out and investing in real estate wasn't actually any tax penalty. I think you use a custodian to do that. And there's certain companies that will do that for you, but you can leverage your investment accounts in your retirement to make a bigger spread with someone else lending the money, and obviously being secured by real estate. So, you can leverage your retirement accounts, HELOCs if you have it, like Justin said earlier. If you have equity in your house, you go get a HELOC from the bank, and then you just make the spread on the bank's money versus the what you're getting for interest from the investor. And business credit. So a friend of mine, Tom Smith, I don't know if he's on the call today, but he lent, I think it was almost 80 grand in business credit. So he had a bunch of credit cards that had high limits on them, or a bunch of them that had low limits on them. But he was able to use a third-party service called Plastic, or actually he ended up using something else. But he was able to basically send over a wire for $80,000 within a couple of days. And what was the benefit of him is, he was getting 10% of his money, but the credit cards that he had, there was 0% interest on the cards for 12 months. So, in the 6 months that we had his money out, he was leveraging the cards, making 10% on the money, but he was getting charged 0% interest on the card itself. So another really cool trick that you can use to free up business operation capital, or fund other people's deals in the meantime. Lines of credit, obviously not just HELOCs, but just lines of credit in general, business lines of credit, or just other lines of credit from the banks or the institutions that are available. Those are also great resources. So like a lot of these things that we're utilizing are not actually like hard liquid cash. They're just they're the bank's money, or it's someone else's money that you're leveraging to make a spread on it. I'll give you an example. Like I had someone yesterday give me a verbal for $200,000, and how he's leveraging. He has some stuff in the stock market. He's using his stocks as collateral to get a line of credit from the bank. The bank is charging him, I think, like 8%, and then he's charging, and he's charging me 12% on the money, and so he's making a little bit of money on the bank's money. So there's a lot of way to leverage funds available. Again, there's so much money out there, especially in the past couple of years, where there was so much money that's been printed. Don't let it die in the bank with making 1% or 2%. Invest that with someone else, and get a higher rate of return. Obviously, make sure you're secured. On that segue, in terms of security, there are certain things that you should do to protect yourself in all cases. Number one, make sure you trust the individual. They'll pay you back. They're trustworthy. They're an honest person. And number two, make sure you vet the deal to make sure it's something that you're comfortable with, and something that you understand. You understand the ins and outs of all the deals. So worst case scenario, what happens? Best case scenario, how much time, and things of that nature. So always protect yourself. Make sure you understand what's going on, and you read all the documents you sign. So in terms of actual protection, you can have, like I said, we saw earlier, the promissory note, and then we also have the deed of trust, or the mortgage, whatever you want to call it, to secure your property as collateral. Couple other things: make sure you have them wire the funds to the title company or the attorney, whoever it is holding the money. Usually you don't have to do it. Usually I wouldn't recommend people wire the funds over to you, your personal account. I've had people wire funds to my account, and the reason why that is because I own the property outright and I use the property as collateral, and they just wire the funds over to me after the things are notarized. But in most cases, you always want the money to be in the title company's hands or someone else's hands, and not in the personal account, because what if the deal doesn't close, or what happens if there was a change or something. So that's kind of why you want it over there. Hired attorney, what do you mean by that, Chris? What hired attorney for what? So you could definitely.
You were saying, like, any private money lender should read the docs and all that. Shouldn't they also hire an attorney that is well versed in this the language on contracts to kind of protect themselves too?
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the contracts are pretty standard, to be honest with you. As long as you understand the terms that are set, right? So the terms are what? So it's how much money, what is the start date? Are you getting paid in interest? If you are, what percent interest are you getting? How long are you gonna have the money for? Is there a balloon payment? What is the monthly payment to the person? If you're doing a flat fee, what is the flat fee? What happens if there's a late payment? Is there a charge? What happens after X amount of late payments? Do you foreclose on the property? Do you guys go to mediation? You just want to make sure you understand what you're signing. Because there's situations where you might think, okay, well, I'm going to be making, $10,000 over 12 months, and this person ends up being done in 3 months, and you get 3,000 or something. Just make sure you understand what you're signing. That's what I mean by that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, you have a lot of experience with this, whereas there's a lot of people who want to lend privately that don't know that. So that's why I kind of mentioned the whole attorney thing.
Sure. Yeah, you could definitely hire an attorney to not only draft the documents for you if you want, you can have them also review the documents and tell you, what is there, what is not there. Again, me personally, I have those documents already drafted by the closing attorney that I use. And then I just have a template that I fill out with the changes to, their name, their address, the amount and terms like that. And then I send them for them to review. Because I think, have an attorney draft up a document, they make a lot of money. Could be a couple $1,000, could be $1,000. Attorneys usually charge, I don't know what they charge over there, but mine charges $300 an hour. So it's yeah, definitely protect yourself. But also look at just read the document yourself. If you have any questions, let the person know, hey, I'm not comfortable with that. Yeah, like Santiago was saying, I think $2,000 is what he paid for his contract. And then, yeah, so usury laws. Colin, do you want to speak a little bit about that, or do you want me to talk a little bit about that if people don't know what those are?
Yeah, so when I was doing my first PML, so guys, I'm also a PML. When I was doing my first couple of PMLs, we had a couple of deals that went up to about 20% interest, or 18% flat that I was doing. And when you look at the usury loss, it's actually 18% APR in Florida, for example.
Yeah.
So we had to restructure our deals so that if you ever went to court, then it doesn't get thrown out, right? If you go past the usury loss. So we had to dumb it down to like 9% flat. And then I took a 3% finder's fee, for example. Then you back calculated it to be like 18% flat APR to meet the limit. You got to structure it that way as well. That's what I did at least.
Yeah, so that's on the lending side. So you were lending the money, and because Florida has those laws, I think most states have those laws. I think people just don't know about it. In order to protect yourself in the case there was a legal issue, so you did a finder's fee for a portion of it, and then the flat fee for the other ones.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay, that's really good to know. Really, really good to know. Do you know how often that happens? Is that only when the deal goes sour or something?
Yeah, when the deal goes sour and you're trying to bring it to court, and you just don't want to get any kind of in a situation where you won't get your money back, right?
Yeah. So I think for those who don't know, there's usury laws. I just made aware of it maybe like a month ago, but certain states have laws on how much interest you can charge on someone before like it's kind of like I guess illegal. So definitely check in with your local laws. Not all states have it, but I think most do. I know Maine does also. So check in with that and see if that's gonna be an issue.
Yeah, so you can definitely do it as an origination fee front as well, or at the end.
Yeah, banks not, so it usually pertains to banks, not hard money or private money. Yeah, I don't have that. I don't have that information. If someone else does, they're more than willing to talk about it. Yeah, origination fees, points, pay on the back end, all that stuff to get around it. So that's good stuff. Gotcha. Okay, let's see what else was there. Yeah, so I mean, typically for me personally, most of my returns are like between 10 to 15% amortized on the long stuff. I mean, if there's short-term projects, we'll just do a flat fee to make it easier for everybody. But again, at the end of the day, it's what you and your lender are comfortable with. That's all that matters. You might be happy with 30%, might be happy with 5%, you might be happy with 0%, and maybe give them some equity, right? It's really it really depends on what you want, what you're comfortable with, and where all parties are happy. There's always a happy medium somewhere, and if it works, great. If it doesn't work, it's fine. Not every deal has to work for every lender, and not every lender wants to do every deal. So, everything's negotiable. Like, everything is always negotiable, and let's see. So, so the shameless plug is coming. Obviously, everybody knows that. If people have private money, if people know people that have funds available, I'll give you an example. Scott Favley, he's in New Hampshire. I don't know if he's on the call today, but he was connected with somebody named David out in I think Texas, somewhere else. But he connected with him, and he's like, I've got some money in my retirement account, or I have some money laying around. He's like, well, why don't you talk to Z? And he has a lot of projects he can put the money into and invest and get a return. And so him and I connected, and he might be, and he's gonna be coming up here looking at a couple of the projects, but he might be ending up leveraging his retirement account to fund some of the deals and make a return on that. So in that case, obviously I would pay Scott a finder's fee or referral fee, whatever he is looking for, that we both make sense. Usually it's a flat fee or a point or two to build that relationship. But if you guys know people or have relationships with people that have funds laying around that want to invest it, obviously you can always come to myself, but there's also other people in this community that might be your neck of the woods. Santiago's in Massachusetts, McTizzick's in Springfield, I'm in Maine, Justin's in New Hampshire, Nick's in New Hampshire, Keith's in Connecticut. Leverage the community, get involved, learn along the process as well, and support others, I guess. So that is something about private money. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody had any experiences? Does anybody have anything they want to talk about?
I got a question.
Go ahead.
How many, with you having, you have probably like what? I don't know, 8 or more projects going on at any given time at this point?
Yeah, I think right now it's 10 right now, I think.
Okay, so 10, and you have private money coming from all different places for either for some of the same projects, different projects. How are you organizing this money? Or is it just all in your operating expense account and you just know that there's enough money to do the projects?
So like so all the money comes in, where is it stored? Yeah, so I have, I have like I guess flipping company called Red Coral. So all the money goes in there, and everything from there is used to fund all the renovation costs. So, whether it's, at closing table, we get 100,000 or, 50,000 or whatever, it goes into the same account. That account funds all the renovations going forward. And that's where everything is stored. That's for me, but if you have one project, obviously the money comes in, you use those to fund the renovations. And, once that sells, everybody gets paid off, you get the money back, and that's it. What kind of return should we expect if we invest with you or the experienced flipper? Again, yeah, it's completely negotiable. I'll just tell you what is for me, between 10 to 15% is what I've seen. Yeah, there we go. But again, it's up to you. It's how well you want to negotiate with people, and what you want to do to build a relationship. I've paid less, I've paid more. It really kind of depends on your situation. So yeah, again, everybody should be raising capital no matter what you do. Everybody should be raising capital. If you don't need it, someone else needs it, and you make money on the referral. In the future, you might want to do a flip, and you've got a connection there, ready to go. So it's a very good skill set to have. It's an option for you to use it if you want. So everybody should be doing that. Does anybody have a good story of raising? Like how much has someone raised? Has anybody raised any money this month at all, or?
Yeah, I can touch base on that real quick.
Sure.
I just started raising money like 3 weeks ago probably. And we have soft commitments of $400,000 so far for our next deal.
Awesome.
So literally just network. Like that's all I can say. I mean, I'm also a realtor. So like, you know, I connect with other agents. They understand what we're doing with our fix and flip. They're interested, past clients. And I also, on our most recent flip that we acquired, the seller is also interested in lending some of that money that we gave her as well. So that's kind of cool as well.
Yeah, another great resource is your either your sellers or your buyers, one of the two, right? They have money from the sale of the property, or you know, the buyers that just bought the property, they might have other funds available. So always ask your sellers at the closing table, hey, do you have any plans for the money, or you know, do you want to invest the money, you know, whatever it is. But yeah, so I mean, like, you know, what's the number one, you know, hesitation people have when they get into real estate is like, well, I don't have any money, right? Nick had no money 2 weeks ago. Now he has $400,000. You know, so just so really, there's really no excuse. You know, so Nick could take that 400,000. He can go buy a rental property. He can go buy a fix and flip, and make some money on that. You know, he can do his options are endless. You know, so that's why it's so important. If you do have a so Nick's down in New Hampshire, I think Southern New Hampshire. So if you have a property under contract or a lead or something, reach out to him. He can close it, he can fund it, he can buy it, sell it, whatever. You know, feel free to reach out to him if you have something down that way. Yes, Colin, thank you.
Yeah, I actually did a couple of, so I joined Gator in like the last 2 months, August 1st. I've helped a couple of folks close their deals just by bringing partners, lender partners. But I didn't take any fees. Instead, I took equity. So a lot of the, so I closed about 7 properties right now in the last 70, 80 days. And got about seven properties. By each property, I have about 25% equity in each. And just raising the money for people and bringing the capital partners in. So you could do it that way too.
Yeah.
So if anybody like kind of needed deals to get funded for the entry, that's what I use my Gator network, and I've networked over the last 2 months and was able to actually secure a deal on Wednesday and close it out today or tomorrow, bringing capital partners to the table.
See you there, love you. It says, are you doing JV agreements to insert yourself and get that equity, or
Yep.
are you?
So basically, someone reached out to me in Subto because I've done raised quite a bunch of capital money for a lot and partners for other people. They reached out to me, and then I secured their partners first. So I lined up about 5 partners in like 12 hours. And before I connect them, we signed a JV agreement. And basically, instead of me coming up with my terms, I said to them, basically, you come up with my terms.
Yeah.
So I said, depending on what value I bring to you, you want to do a partnership or you want to do it a one-time thing. So they decided to do a partnership. So I said, if you do a partnership, they say, what percentage are you willing to take? And I said, what percentage are you willing to give? So they said, I'll give you 50% of my share if you bring me a capital partner that will cover the cost, the entry fee that I need. So I brought them 5 capital partners, and they get to choose.
Yeah. So for people who do understand that, what he's saying is, Colin, he was able to connect lenders to buyers, and he was making a spread on the equity. He's got no money, he's got no risk, quote unquote, in the deal, but now he's got 25% ownership in 7 properties. And how much do you think that equity is worth, Colin, do you think, roughly?
So we got 3 reps and 3 lease options, four reps and 3 lease options. So basically the 3 lease options are bringing in about $900 to $1,000 every month, split between 4 or 3. So I'm getting $250, $300 per rep. And then for the lease option, I'm getting the same kind of deal. I got 30% on actually one of the properties, and we cash flow about $1,000.
Yeah. So he's not just only getting cash flow, percent of the cash flow, he's also getting the upside. So when you go eventually to sell the house, he'll get the equity on his part. So
yeah. And the reps, with the reps, you come in at a higher percentage. So each rep, we automatically come in with maybe 25, 30,000 in equity the minute we take over that rep or find a rep buyer. So they sell the house or refinance in 5-7 years, you get that 25% when they sell.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, I did put quite a lot of money in at first, but I also funded some of the deals to build a relationship. And then when I ran out of money, I had to figure out what else to do, right? So that's what I kind of did, find out what I could do, use my network, and then added value to a lot of these Subto folks that were doing deals.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, I think some of this stuff happens out of necessity, right? I mean, we love to use our own money, but when you run out, you got to pivot. And the same thing with you. You know, again, a lot of people, again, the number one objection people always have is, I don't have money. How am I supposed to buy anything? I don't have money. Well, you just saw two examples of people that had literally no funds invested, but now one's an equity share, one's raised $400,000 that they can go and make, you know, into $1 million the next year. So it's, you know, there really isn't really an excuses, right? I mean, it's what excuses do people have? And
right, and even when I did my deals at first, I didn't use any of my own money.
Yeah.
I took a HELOC of my house, and I used the HELOC, which is essentially the bank's money, and then put the bank's money and use it for private money to get monthly interest to cover that. And I also used the HELOC to get into small deals, and I actually wrestled with other gators to do the deals together. So I brought in new people and I said, who wants their first deal? Who wants to wrestle with me? We got into the deals together. And now with the reps, your money comes back every 60, 90, 120 days. And your initial investments, you get it back once you get the rep buyer, and you recycle the money, right?
Yeah, sure.
And you're in the deal for infinite returns.
Do lenders still have any money in these wrap deals?
They only have the money in the wrap deals up to the point where they find a rep buyer. The rep buyer typically comes in with a down payment, and the down payment covers the initial capital investor. If it doesn't cover, then it depends on your deal. You got to work it out with the deal, right? So one of the deals I made was if the down payment doesn't cover my investment, I get all 100% of the net cash flow until I'm made whole. Another one is we split the cost because we worked out a deal where the borrower is paying the holding costs. So they've got some skin in the game. So in that case, then we will go 50-50.
Yep, makes sense. What is the best way to find these deals to connect the PML to? I mean, if there's a good deal, there's always a buyer for it. I think that's like typical saying, but again, it's all about relationships, all about networking. It's all about who you know, not what you know. See you, Tony. I forgot to showcase a deal that I'm actually working on, which I was supposed to showcase earlier, but does anybody else have any questions? Oh, what is a wrap? A wrap is basically it's when you're taking, there's an existing, or does somebody else want to explain it? Basically, it's an existing mortgage that you're wrapping in another mortgage on top of that, and you're making the spread on either the interest or the final purchase price.
Basically putting your own seller finance terms on top of the debt that's already in place.
Yeah, that's a much easier explanation. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, okay. Does anybody have any questions on raising money, why we need it, why it's important, where to find it, terms, how to leverage it, anything like that? Or sources? See you, Grace. All right, I will show you someone who put this in. Yes, yeah, for sure. Let me show one of the deals that I'm working on that I am very excited for. It is for Rodier. Is it technical Rodier? It is. Okay, I'm going to share my screen now. So I last Friday, I was looking to close a deal. Sorry. I was looking to close this deal in South Berwick. So basically, this is it's a single family house with a 2-car garage. and it has a workshop studio. The person inherited the property. They were going through a foreclosure situation, and they just wanted to be out of the place. So I walked the property, and unfortunately, I don't have any images, which kind of sucks. But basically, the play on this is a development deal. So this is the existing tax map. Let's kind of zoom in on this or no? Can you guys see that or no?
Yes.
Let me.
Wow, it's really zoomed in.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me find the existing one. The better one. So this is. Okay. Let me turn this around. Let me download this. Open this up. Is it still the same screen or something different?
It's better.
Okay. So this was actually it used to be a 20-acre parcel. So this is where the house sits right here. This is the house, this is the 2-car garage, and there's actually a workshop framed in everything. This used to be a 20-acre parcel. This little section got sold off, and then this little section over here got sold off. So I think what's left now is 16 acres. This is a second driveway, which is right away, and this is the initial driveway to get into the property. So we ended up buying the house for $250,000. This was a PPC lead. So for those of you that don't know what a PPC lead is, it's a Google Ads pay-per-click. So I use a third-party service that generates inbound leads. So people would search for "sell my house fast" in Maine or other keywords. It would come to my website. I would get their information. I'll give a call and see what we can do. But this lead came through. We ended up looking at the house, and the house was in decent shape. But the real opportunity is in the land. So talking to the city and trying to see what the options are, what to develop, what we can develop. So basically what they told me is you can take this lot, which is about 15 or 16 acres, whatever it comes to. You can split this into 5 different parcels, which means you can have 5 different lots, and each lot is going to accommodate 4 units total. So you can put single family house, 2 duplexes, or 4 quadplexes, or whatever. And so looking at the lots in the area that's sold, each lot is probably worth 100 to 125,000 once it's all split up. And that's one option to do, right? So one option is just to buy the house, fix it up, and resell it. Maybe resell it for like $450. Once it's all fixed up with the land. The other option is to buy the house, split the lots, and then sell all the lots separately and sell the house separately. And make a couple $100,000 that way. Or what I like to do is I want to buy the place. I mean, I've already bought the house, but buy the place, split these into 5 parcels, and put a quadplex on each parcel. So at the end of the day, you would have 5 separate units, so 5 separate pieces of land. Each one would have a 4-unit building on there that would rent for, I would say, $2,500 a month conservatively for a 3-bedroom. So long term, what you end up having is you have 20 units total, each unit bringing between $2,000 to $2,500 a month. Easy numbers, that's between $40,000 and $50,000 a month in gross rent. And over time you will get your money back. So this project might end up costing $3 million to do, but if you think about it, $3 million, you make 500 grand a year off 3 million. After some expenses, blah, 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 you'll end up making 15%, 16% return on your money. And you also end up increasing the value of the property. You can go to the bank, refinance, get your money out, and you own an asset that's basically new construction, new build for the rest of your life. And that's going to be paying down the debt and everything. So, some people might just come look at the property and just say, hey, we'll just fix it up and flip it, and that's it. But you always want to look for value add opportunities in any deal. This house itself right now is only a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, but it really should be a 5-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. The garage you can rent out separately. The other building that's here, you can rent that out as a studio. You can rent that out as an office space. and, just increase income that way. So what I'm trying to say is look for opportunities to add value to any project, any house, any deal where other people might not see what the value is. At the end of the day, if you spend $3 million on this place might be end up worth, $5, $6, $7 million. But that's not even the main thing. The main thing is now you're owning an asset that pays you for the rest of your life, right? I mean, it's even with really high overhead, let's say 60% overhead, you're still bringing in 20 grand a month in net income, not to mention the tax benefits, the payment, the principal pay down, the appreciation you have, the tax write-off and all the other incentives you have. So where I was going with this. Anyways, what I went to say is this is a deal that I'm gonna be doing new construction on. If anybody else wants to partner up on the deal or get involved, feel free to reach out to me. Nick was out there today with the realtor and the builder, and it's one of the projects I'm really excited to learn something new. Anybody that's done old renovations of houses, there's always something that comes up, and it's never fun. So with new construction, usually it's a little bit more smoother operations, and for this one, we might not even end up building it. We might just all do modular homes. So the modular homes, for those that don't know, is built off site. And, if they built off site, you can actually order them all right away. They get shipped to the property. They do all the foundation work. They build it right there. If there's any deficiencies, they'll fix it. But, you bypass the overhead of GCing the project, managing the plumber, managing the framer, managing the materials, managing the order, managing the city. And it just saves you so much time and headache that for me, it might be a great option, especially at the price point where these things come in at. So, so if anybody has done any new development stuff, I'm happy to get your input and ideas. If someone's if someone in the area that wants to get involved, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to show you how things can progressed along, but at the current pace, I'm hoping to, at least break ground in the next 6 months. As long as financing comes through, get all the permits pushed through to planning board, get all the foundation work, all the things prepped and ready. And in the springtime, just drop everything on there. How do you not become complacent? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think folks that know me, I personally love real estate. I love all aspects of it. I love the design, the build, and going through everything. So I just love trying new things, and that's how I don't become complacent. Also, I'm extremely busy, so that helps. How much do the modular homes cost? So I went yesterday. Went yesterday to a site. They've got a bunch of them there that do a bunch of condos, a bunch of duplexes. They also have mobile homes and stuff. But there's a couple of them that are single story ranch that were going for like 170. The duplexes were going for 210. So the quadplexes, maybe they go for 350, 400,000 or something. I don't know, but it's a much cheaper option than building them on site. I think one of the builders that came in just to build a duplex at his cost was like 350. And that doesn't include obviously the foundation work and stuff like that. It's just strictly the build of the house. So modular homes could be a great option for people that want to get into new builds where it might be a cost-effective option. Also, you don't have to deal with all the headaches. They've come a long way. I was pretty skeptical about them, but when you walk in, they got drywall, they got nice recessed lighting, nice kitchens, fiberglass bathrooms. The only thing I didn't really like, honestly, the ones I saw was kind of flooring was kind of cheap, linoleum, but you can go right over the flooring with whatever you want. And the thing is, the trim is loose, so you can get those stuff done. Has anybody done a new construction project that they want to talk about, or some of the challenges they've had, or some of the things they've seen? Even a single family house or a development or anything like that? If not, it's all good. that's what I got for that last deal. Again, something different, new construction is a little bit different. There's a lot of things, a bunch of different things that goes on, with it. So. Yeah, again, don't be afraid to try new things and, put yourself out there, learn some stuff. Yeah, Alex and I have talked a lot about some of the stuff he's got going on in Rhode Island, with the builds he's doing. I think modular homes in his area is a little bit more expensive than stick built, so it probably doesn't make sense for him, but it does make sense for me personally. Alrighty, so that's kind of what I have for today. Those are the deals I have, those are the opportunities in the pipeline. Again, if everybody wants to reach out, need some help, feel free to reach out to me, the other leaders in the group, Santiago, Chelsea, Ari, everybody else that's here. Feel free to reach out. We will take the time to take care of you and grow your business or help your business in any way we can. Is there anything that anybody else wants to talk about? I mean, does anybody have any, like, I don't know, does anybody want to do a hot seat and talk about their business, where they are right now, what they need? Does somebody have any objections they don't know how to handle with sellers? Does anybody have a deal they want to underwrite? What does your business need? I mean, that's why we're here for, right? I mean, I'm happy to show whatever you guys want, transparency wise, everything. But I really want to make sure that I'm helping and providing value to you guys. What you need in your business, what you're stuck on, what you're having obstacles with. What we can do to help you. Like Matt Slowick. I mean, when are you going to get on the PPC stuff to do more deals, more than one a year? For those of you that don't know, Matt Slowick is in Springfield. He's one of my good friends. I just wish he would do more deals. That's all.
Yeah, I'm trying. SEO is slow.
Yeah. What are you working on?
I just got one today in Templeton. Is anybody in Templeton want a lead that I don't think has any life? Actually, there's 16 acres. You can build a whole another Z community on this thing.
Yeah, but Templeton's got a little stigma to it, doesn't it?
I had to map it, man. I have no clue where Templeton is until today.
Yeah, the experience midterm. Yeah, so Matt, if you guys don't know, Matt Slowick, he is a landlord. He owns a bunch of properties. He self-manages them. I think, what is it, like 16 units now? Is that right? 16 doors?
17.
17, okay, I'm sorry. He also, I think, works for the city. He's a pencil pusher. But he's very knowledgeable on the construction, the underwriting, very knowledgeable about the codes as well. So if you're in Springfield or the surrounding areas, definitely reach out to him. He's a great resource to have.
Yeah, phone's always on. Shoot me a text.
Yeah. What do you need in your business, Matt? Do you need anything, or are you all set?
I'm good.
Yeah, he's doing okay.
Got everything he needs. This guy's
the man, I'm telling you. He doesn't get stressed. The city loves him. He doesn't get a stop work order on his houses like mine do.
Not once. You just gotta draw the shades, man. Draw the shades. You gotta get shades on those things.
Shame.
Okay, Chris got a question. How do you underwrite a lot for potential development if there's no plans or permits to build? Yeah, so I mean, the land is worth what the best use is. So, if the best use of the land is a single family house, usually what I've seen is people do a percentage of the property value. So if something's worth $500,000, the land might be worth 10% of that, which is 50 grand. If there's utilities on site or not, that also makes a big difference. But for me, the way I underwrite the land itself is it's really with the multifamilies on there and the income and expenses. So, commercial, since it's more than 4 units, it's actually technically commercial multifamily, and those are all valued based on income. So depending on what the income is minus the expenses, you're left with what's called an NOI, which is net operating income. And then that number, depending on the area, is divisible by a factor, and that gives you the property value. So that's what it is on multifamily. On a single family house or a duplex, it's just basically based on what you can build on there. So I hope that helps. I'm not the best land guy. I don't know if there is a land guy here. But those are some of the things you want to look at, utilities on site, what you can put on there, and things like that. But land is hard to get financing on because it has no income, unfortunately, so it is hard to get financing on it. So most of the time, land deals are seller financed. And then, once they start building or get a construction loan on it, that's when you can actually start to get funding. All right, what else we got? Anybody else got questions? Anybody else stuck? Do I need to just call on people? Do you need to call on Joffrey? I know you're smiling. What do you need help with? I know we talked, you had a lot of questions. Where are you in your business? How can we help you?
All right, well, I'm kind of in the in-between stage. Got through all the Pace Morby stuff, all the coursework. Looking primarily right now on becoming a a private money lender or a PMP. I did look at a couple wrap deals, and that's why I had the question about the wraps there before. I do know a couple guys that are managing hedge funds right now, or I should say former hedge fund managers that are building a note portfolio, which is primarily comprised of wraps. They're guys from my previous life, so to speak. They're basically, what they're doing in a nutshell is they're taking on a lot of these Subto, and I don't even know if they're part of the Subto community or not, but they're taking on the property Subto, primarily down, the ones that I've at least been exposed to, were down in Houston, in the Houston area, where the taxes and insurance is so high that it makes it almost out of reach to do anything long-term rental. So what they're doing is there's a lot of wrap opportunities there where they're taking these properties with, say, a interest rate of 2, 3, 4%. I think they try to stay underneath 4%. And then they're basically, because of rising interest rates, they're turning around and wrapping those and offering a note to what they call a penalty box buyer. Okay, and then they're making the spread. The biggest issue that I ran into when underwriting those is, number one, leaving cash in the deal. Okay, because some of the entry fees are fairly high. And what they're looking to do is they're looking to take someone like myself into the deal to pay for the holding costs of the property while they're waiting to find an end buyer. Okay, and they're also looking to take a guy like myself and pay for the entry fee. Okay, so the two costs that I have would be an entry fee and a holding cost. Okay, now depending on how long the period is before they find an end buyer, that holding cost could be variable. But those, and the reason I asked the question earlier was the way you get your money out as an investor, okay, is on the down payment of the end buyer. The end buyer puts down 10%, 12% or whatever, and hopefully that gets you your money out. The problem is a lot of those deals, I was leaving money into the original deal. So say for instance, the entry fee was 50,000. Well, on that particular property, I might be able to get out of that 40,000 from the end buyer on the down payment. Okay, so that remaining 10,000 sits there. Well, if someone turns around and refinances you out, now you're potentially in trouble if there's no equity in the property, right? So from an underwriting perspective, that was a little difficult for me to stomach, because even if the property was cash flowing, I think $900 a month, the note was, I should say, cash flowing $900 a month. That still means I've got almost a year before I get that 10,000 out. If someone happens to have good fortune and is able to refinance that note, well, now, even though I was priority on being paid out, okay, so I would be paid out first before we start sharing the equity on the note, and the equity on the note was 50%. Okay, so I'm actually looking to try to take that model and possibly bring it up here. Okay, where there's some properties that are low cash flowing, and quite frankly, I felt uncomfortable doing it in an area I don't know anything about. Okay, out in Houston. All right, you can only do so much with Google, Street View and all that stuff, and doing as much research as you can. But in the Connecticut, Massachusetts area, I know the area very well. I've lived here all my life. I'm probably a lot more comfortable looking at low cash flowing properties and turning them into an exit of a wrap deal. So that's one of the things I'm looking at as kind of a midterm lending practice. If someone has deals like that and they want to go into a relationship where we can kind of fund those deals, that's an opportunity that I'm looking to do kind of up here, someplace that I know I can kind of get my hands on the property, be able to see it, get my eyes on it, and be able to feel more comfortable about what I'm actually putting my money into. So that's one thing. And then I'm also looking on the foreclosure sides of things, and kind of getting my feet wet there as far as trying to understand all the legal things that have to deal with the judicial state and the timeframes of closing on foreclosures and redemption periods and all that good stuff. So I've got a lot going on in as far as education wise, but the area that I feel most comfortable is the finance area, the spot that my background is finance. So I feel really comfortable in that environment. And quite frankly, it's an area that I've got to put some money to work, and that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can also leverage your relationships you have with people in the financial industry, and like what Colin does. He finds people money and connects them, and he makes a spread. Whether that's equity or flat fee or whatever, you can do that too. It's not taking any more of your daytime.
Correct.
Like for example, you said, I'm a private lender. Santiago's mouth went from one ear to the other. So and Santiago and I are the same person, right? We're always looking for money for next deals, but that's just something that you can definitely do. But in the same thing with that model that you're looking to replicate here, I'm sure you can do that with what's happening in the market. Also, how expensive it is to live in these areas as well. I know Massachusetts is not cheap. Some parts of Connecticut are not cheap either. So definitely you can do.
Yeah.
You're in Connecticut, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Oxford area. So roughly middle-ish of the state. I did have my first meeting with a potential seller. It's a friend of a friend kind of deal. This other friend is a flipper. So he does some deals. He brought me the deal, and he wasn't comfortable talking creative financing with the end seller, or with the seller, I should say. So we had a conversation, and it went fairly well. I think it's probably going to turn into something. It's probably a $600,000 ARV on the property, and he started throwing numbers around 350. And I walked through the property. The property wasn't too bad. Maybe requires about $110 to $120. We had a couple GCs look at it. So there might be some room there. The problem is he's one of these guys that at this point would like to get his cash out, but a novation agreement might be something that we look at to kind of be able to bridge that gap as far as having to come up with 350 upfront. Yeah. Not that I'm opposed to that necessarily, but the structure of that deal is such that I would want to be the lender on the 350 side, okay, and the partner on the fix and flip side, okay. So I basically pay myself first for the property itself for coming up with the 350 on the property, and then split in an equity position with the flipper on the $120 or $110 that we were looking at. Excuse me. So yeah, I mean, structuring these deals, it's starting to get to the point where I'm feeling more comfortable with structuring the deals. And I know I've talked to Jonathan as well in the past, and both of you guys were great as far as giving me insight into this community. So anybody who hasn't joined Subto, talk to these guys. They'll give you some good information that'll help you make your decision. But I'm feeling more comfortable with it. So that's kind of where I am with my business side of it. Yeah. So really starting to wade into the waters a little bit and get myself out there. I felt a little uncomfortable, but like they say, you got to feel comfortable with being uncomfortable. Sitting in front of a seller, not really knowing, waiting for that question. Well, what happens when, and not being able to explain my way out of it. But I felt out of that meeting, the guy who was a flipper was like praising, oh my God, this really worked out good. I think we got a good shot at this. We're waiting to hear from him. He's supposed to get back a number, but like I said, he was throwing around a 350 number. So hopefully we can be somewhere around there and
Yeah.
maybe that'll come true.
I wanted to touch up on the innovation thing real quick. So
Sure.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't know what innovation is. So for people who don't know what innovation is, it's basically a partnership you have with the seller, and the higher level overview is the seller, you sign a contract with the seller saying, hey, you keep everything in place. We'll bring the funds to renovate the property. When we go to sell the property, you'll get paid what we agreed upon, and we'll make the spread on the back end. Friend of mine, John, did an innovation deal with the guy who was all for it. Usually it's done when two things. One is it saves you from having to raise a lot more money. It also kind of potentially save you from paying points and using hard money for the full purchase price. So like in your case, instead of having to raise 450,000, you only have to raise 110, which seems much more manageable. So again, you pay less interest on the less money you borrow. It's also easier to do in most cases. So in John's case, the seller was all for it. They got bypassed the whole private money stuff and the fees and stuff like that. But the problem with it was the guy was living at the property, and it was just a single guy, but people say, yeah, I can deal with the construction, but people value their space, and nobody wants to sit home, watch the football game. There's somebody in the toilet ramming the toilet out or smashing the wall next to you, so it turned to be a very uncomfortable situation for the seller. He wasn't happy. And if you just think about the liability aspect of it, yeah, I mean, you sign, you get notarized documents for power of attorney and things, but you don't have title to the property, right?
Yeah.
It's actually stopping the seller from calling the police and say, hey, get the hell out of here. Not much, really not much. So, one of the lessons that he learned is like, hey, I'll never do an innovation deal where the seller is, or where the property is occupied.
Yeah.
I'm not sure is that your case?
In this particular case, the guy's living with his girlfriend down the street.
Okay.
So the property is basically vacant. He tried renting it.
Yeah.
And it was a friend of his daughter's, and he wasn't renting it for a lot. The place is pretty bad shape. I mean, it needs some work. It needs quite a bit of work. But he has no interest in doing it. It's full of all his 25 years worth of stuff that's accumulated. So basically we worked on those pain points. We worked on the pain points of, he doesn't like to be up on ladders, so he's not going to be doing the changes himself. He doesn't want to go and empty the house because it's literally got 25 years worth of crap in it.
Yeah.
So what else was the other pain point? Was he didn't want to be a landlord, because I basically said to him, hey, listen, these places will rent here for $3,500+ a month. You've got X dollars left on your mortgage. This can work cash flow wise for you. He had no interest in doing Subto though. Seller finance possibly, but Subto, he just, I don't know if there was something because he was divorced, if he had to get the wife off the old mortgage or what. He was just totally 100% against that one.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, that's just kind of my little thing on innovation.
Yeah.
I don't know what the legal aspect of the stuff is if the guy went to do something, or even at the time of sale, if they didn't want to sell it or something like that, or they saw how much money you're making, it was an issue. So yeah, definitely use a TC if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
I know John used a TC. We have a couple of TCs here. Lily is a TC. I've heard great things about her. I don't know if anybody else is a TC, but that's definitely an option for you. Just to make sure the paperwork's correct and you're protected and everything.
How about structuring it so that I know he's not interested in a long-term Subto. What if I structured it as a Subto while we're doing the construction, and then just basically, so it's essentially a novation for all intents and purposes, but then I'm just carrying the holding cost of the mortgage, interest, and taxes.
Yeah, I'm definitely more of a fan of the subtail. So, taking over the project Subto because you actually take title, right?
Yep.
That's the important thing, is you actually own the property.
Yep.
The only downside is if you sell it, FHA requires 3 months of hold time. If that's a thing in your area, I dealt with it a couple of times. I didn't know about it. And we finished the project, we had the contract within 30 days. And then we had to wait 2 months because it was an FHA buyer. So, that's one thing, that's the only limitation, but otherwise, I much rather prefer a subject to transaction or renovation any day of the week.
Okay,
Yeah, that's just me personally.
cool.
But, build a good relationship with the seller, maybe things go all right, maybe they don't. It's, has anybody else done an ovation besides John? I know Mike Gomes does them a lot. Jeff Hamilton's not here. Has anybody else done an ovation in here? Anybody? Nobody, okay. All right, do we want to talk to Emily? Or do we just want to
No, we want to call her out because actually she posted on Discord literally probably 3 hours after I was gonna call her out on Discord myself. So make her talk about her business.
Yeah, what do you got going on there, Emily?
Thanks, guys. Yeah, no, this actually came up because I was telling Ari how I was scared to hire contractors ever since my husband and I started a business and we have less time to do our own renovations. So I appreciate all the conversation about that tonight. That was helpful. But yeah, so we're in Granby, Connecticut. So I know there's a couple people in Suffield. We're your neighbors. And we started an equipment rental business this year. So we have things like excavators, skid steers, dump trailers, all things that your landscapers and crews can use. So I know we're kind of far from a lot of the Boston area, New Hampshire people, but for people in Western Mass and Connecticut, we'd be happy to provide what we can and give you deals. So yeah.
What are you doing in your real estate business?
We're buy and hold. So we do like higher end long-term rentals in like the Farmington Valley area. And then we do student housing in Springfield.
Well, when you say higher end and stuff, like what does that mean? Like, are you doing midterms, doing Airbnbs, or what are you doing?
No, traditional long-term, just like nicer areas.
Like, what are the price points to rent? I guess I'm asking.
Like $3,000-ish
And
for a
what are you-
single family.
What are you buying them at?
What was that?
Not Hartford, yeah. You don't want those zombies out there. What are you buying these things to rent them out for $3,000?
Like what price point?
Yeah, you said the higher end stuff you guys are looking at.
Well, I've been kind of stuck lately, which is why I joined Subto. Because before we were buying them in like the 200s, and now we're looking at like double that.
Okay. I wanted to ask about, so you're doing the student rentals in Springfield. How is that different than just the long term? Is there more turnover? Is there more management? Is there more repairs, like people say, or?
Yeah, so we focus on grad students. So the repairs are minimal. They're really awesome tenants. But the turnover is every 1 or 2 years. But I went to grad school in Springfield, so I have just a ton of referrals, and vacancy has never been an issue. So I love it. We rent by the bedroom, so we just crush it in cash flow.
Yeah, I love that. You're basically doing the pass split model without the pass split, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I do something very similar stuff with contractors. And yeah, you don't ever hear from them, but I think it's a very good option with the grad students versus the college students. Most of the time, those people are a little bit more mature.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So what do you need help in your business? I mean, you need help with acquisitions, is that right? Or do you have a buy box you want to give to the people? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I'm a buyer, so I don't have anything I can shoot out right now, but I can definitely.
Dropping the ball there, Emily. This was an
I know.
opportunity for you,
Well, with Springfield, it's hard, as some of you know, because the area is like street by street where I'll buy.
Yeah, I went to Springfield one time, never went back.
It's
I think
actually a nice place in the right areas.
she said rent the room long-term or midterm. So I think what I think Santiago was saying, when you're doing the student rentals, you said you're renting them out for a year at a time, or are you doing leases month to month? What are you doing lease wise?
Yeah, we do year leases, but the turnover is generally 1 to 2 years.
Okay. I've heard some people say like the people that are in college or something have like their parents like co-sign or something on the leases just for more security. Do you do that?
Yeah, we get a guarantee form from every student their parent has to sign.
Hey, Emily, I don't know if this is the same for grad students, but I know sometimes with undergrads, people will make them sign for the full or make them pay upfront for the full year or full semester. I don't know if you guys do that or not.
We don't do that. And I heard that on one of the other Zooms and thought it was interesting. But no, actually, a lot of our students pay the rent themselves. So they don't have the cash up front. Some of them, their parents pay, but we don't do it and we've never had an issue.
Yeah.
That's great. We would definitely love to learn about that and how to do that. Because I think you get more. What do you get in per room? Santi's asking.
Yeah, we get $650 per bedroom. So we have 4 and 5 bedrooms in a house.
So 650 times 2 is 13, times 2 is 26. So yeah, I went to college as well. Yeah, that's awesome. How many buildings do you guys have now?
We only have 5 right now.
Only 5. Okay. All right, there, Miss Humble. All right. Do we have okay, so yeah, whenever you get your buy box, put in the Discord. When people have stuff, they'll send it over to you. You know, again, typical long-term rentals that might not work for others, they'll work for you because renting by the room and making a great spread. So yeah, let people know what you're looking for, so they can reach out. You know, Ari, Drew, I think Matt Slow would probably buy anything if it comes across his way. You know, Keith, these are the people like Clinton, I think is not, no, he's in Rhode Island. So
Hey, so Emily, I know Clinton asked earlier, do you guys rent in Rhode Island, your equipment?
It's pretty far. If someone was gonna rent for like 2 weeks to a month, we would bring it out there, but not worth it for like a daily rental.
yeah. Plus you gotta charge Clinton extra. He's not a good, he doesn't do good with equipment rentals anyways. All right, who else do we have in here that we need to call out? Ella Ray, I don't know. I don't think I've met her. Is there anything you need help with? I love how like Mateus just puts mango as his profile. He's embodying the mango now. Let's see. I really don't want to call on Suzanne Sharkey. If anybody else wants to volunteer, please do.
What are we volunteering for?
What's up?
What are we volunteering for?
Yeah, I mean, whatever, you know, do you have a win? Do you have a struggle? Do you need help with in your business? Do you have a deal? I mean, what can we do to help you, Enrico?
Hey, I'm working on rewriting like all my operating procedures. So I have questions, I guess, about like how are you guys like defining like a qualified lead that you might set an appointment for? Like what specifically, like I was talking to like Zach a couple of weeks ago. He responded to my question on Discord. He said like anything that's like motivated like within a week. And then I was talking to like some other people and they were saying like within 30 days, but I'm still kind of like, what is it exactly about lead makes it worth paying attention to?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think it's what they call the temperature of the lead. Well, it's a hot, cold, or warm lead. You know, in my business, anything that's within 30 days is considered a hot lead because they're, you know, we're willing to sell. I think anything over 90 days is probably a cold lead. Basically, just follow up. That's just my personal philosophy. Again, if someone's not ready to sell, I would just do a touch up. I wouldn't waste too much time on it. You know, it's really the people that are ready to go right now. Those are the people you want to be in front of and top of mind, right? Because, you know, even someone can have the most motivation in the world. But if they're not ready to sell in 6 months, they're just not, it's just not worth your time. So that's what I do personally in my business. I'm not sure what others do. But you know, what's Santiago, what about you? Like, you're doing 30, 60, 90 days for hot, warm, or cold? What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I like they're not ready in 6 months. Are they even like serious about selling their property?
Yeah.
So,
So
it's go ahead.
I was just going to ask one thing to clarify, Ryan. Are you saying in terms of lead temperature, or because I know when you were when you posted that, you were specifically asking when does it make sense to underwrite, which I think is different than when are they a hot lead.
Yeah, okay. So I've also been asking this question and have not come up with a solid answer yet. So basically, what's the order of operations on like? So right now, my funnel looks like data, like SMS goes out, replies come in. As the replies come in, they're positive or neutral. They get turned into an opportunity, which we're calling a lead. When we have the lead, then it gets qualified by the lead manager. And then we go to basically through that qualification process. And if it's qualified, then it becomes what we're calling a net lead. And then those are the ones that we've been like underwriting after like kind of some qualification with the lead manager.
Yeah, so John asked a good question. What does it become to become qualified?
That's what I'm asking. That was my question. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I mean, the simple answer is they say they want to sell. You know, that's the simple answer.
Ryan, Z alluded to it earlier on the call when he was talking. I mean, don't get me wrong, condition and price are important, but really what it comes down to is their motivation and their timeline.
Yeah.
You really don't even need to know how much they want or the condition if you don't know those two.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing direct to agent. So what's some questions or best way of me getting that motivation from the agent as opposed to talking directly with the seller?
You click the end call button. That's what you do. I'm just kidding. I think with the agent, it's just a relationship thing, right? I mean, you just got to tell them, hey, these are the services we can provide to help you. You know, if they're an investor-friendly agent, or if they know what they're doing to help, or if they really care about their client and how to help them, you know, they hear you out. But who is doing direct agent here that can help you better than me? I'm not a good person for that. There's your answer.
Who?
I mean,
Yeah.
I think, Ryan, if you're doing direct to agent, the majority of your stuff is going to come from the relationship you build with them, not from what you see on the first call.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we're getting a lot. We're getting like so we're basically putting them in two buckets. So like when we have the first initial contact, then we're qualifying the agent, and then they go into a bucket based on how they qualified, and then we also have a lead discovery conversation, and if they have any leads, then they go directly into the system. And we've been getting like on just 50 text messages per day. We've been averaging like 2 to 3 leads, not net leads, like regular leads, like warm leads. We've been 2 or 3 a day. So I'm gonna just like quadruple it, but I just want to make sure my process is like clean before throwing a bunch of data that I can't process. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think just keep it simple. Is just, you know, what's their timeline, number one, and then their motivation. That's it. You know, everything else can be fixed with either creative financing or cash, I think.
I also think that agents that are really ready to move on it, or have stuff that's giving them pain, they'll let you know. Like they'll say this property is miserable, and that's when you kind of know that that's something that you might be able to make a deal on. If they're like, yeah, just send me an offer.
Yeah.
Usually those I wouldn't even.
Yeah, you really got to, you know, find the needle in the haystack with the agents, people that are open to it, and, you know, willing to help the seller. It's very rare. So that's okay. We lost Erica. Let's see here. Is it Ella? Ella, right? Are you back, or do you want me to go to somebody else?
No, I'm here. I was on a call, sorry. I got told that you called me out, so I just wanted to, I don't want to be rude. Sorry about that.
Don't worry, I'll be rude. I'll probably hate you for that.
Hello, are you an agent?
No, I'm not, but I do GTA and it's rough. It's definitely rough. I've gotten 2 deals and they've both been GTA, so I guess I've been making a good amount of calls, but it's just disheartening coming across those agents who refuse to listen to anything knowing that it would help their clients. But yeah.
How are you marketing to them? Are you just calling what's on Zillow? Are you calling just agents, like calling them and emailing, or what are you doing?
I call them. So I run lists on batch leads and then I'll look at the listing and I'll just call them and I'll talk to them. And I think they've just heard it so many times because I do target no to low equity that they're not doing anything creative. They don't want to have anybody assume the loan. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not looking to assume the loan. And well, we don't want any of that subject to. And it's just unbelievable. So, I mean, but for me,
Are
it's
you
easier than
mostly
talking to
doing that?
sellers.
Are
Sorry,
you mostly down in Florida for that?
I call everywhere. I mean, when I do batch leads and I set the filter, it's like nationwide.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I'm also a TC and I find that there's a lot of deals in Texas that are doing sub 2, surprisingly. A lot.
When you're going and locking up contracts, how are you dispoing them?
I call people who I know are buying in those areas, or I'll put it up in the sub 2 group.
Sorry, I guess what I'm asking is, what are you negotiating? Are you negotiating a lower price point? Are you negotiating creative? How are you locking up the deals, acquisition side?
Well, I'm definitely negotiating creative. I do the underwriting and I try to see where the sweet spot is, where it would work for everyone. And then I also see like what my worst case scenario is. And I try to, start from my worst case scenario to the best. I'm sorry, from best case scenario to the worst, which is not really that bad. Maybe worst case scenarios, maybe like a little 12 to 13% entry versus, a 10.
Yeah. Are you having to put down like EMD on these things? Because most of the time agents ask for that stuff, don't they?
They do, but I've been really lucky in that I'll just put like $1,000, and I just make sure that I have an end buyer before my EMT goes hard. Because
Okay.
if I don't, then I just cancel it.
Okay. Right, so you're locking up these, what do you think you need to do to get more deal flow, I guess? Like, how do you get more consistent to do like 1 to 5 a month? I mean, if that's what you're looking to do anyways?
I would love to do more deals per month, but I'm also doing TC work, which is taking up a lot of my time. So I don't really get a lot of phone time anymore. But my bank account's not dry now. So I think until I can, get more cash flow coming in, then I can take, more time and dedicate it to making calls versus doing, TC work.
Do you think about hiring a VA to help you out on the part-time, on the calling side, or do you think that that's not gonna help out a lot?
I don't know. I have mixed feelings about VAs. I'm not really sure that I'm very type A personality. Like I have to have, I feel like if I'm not the person doing it, then it's not getting done right. And that's really bad. So for me, getting I know delegating is key. For me, getting a VA, I just not have gotten to that level yet.
Ella, you have a mirror in front of me and you're looking at me and I'm looking at you and we're the same person. And I'll tell you, you need to delegate. I'm sorry,
I know.
It's control
I
freak,
know.
but you just need to delegate and save your sanity. Trust me. Yes, there's some training involved, but I'm sure you can train people to do just to make the calls and just set up the appointments for you, just so you're not wasting your time just calling random people. And yeah, just preach it to the choir. I mean, like again, we're the same person here. So it definitely helps. Okay. So the TC stuff, how are you getting the TC leads? How are you just marketing services to Subto or?
So I've actually been a part of other real estate communities for a while now, and I've developed relationships with them, and I've just started putting it out there that I'm a TC, and I've gotten some really consistent clients. So a college kid. I've been pretty fortunate that the clients that I have a steady deal flow, but I've also been, just creeping around the forums and, letting people know that I'm doing TC work whenever they're asking for a TC, and just offering value, answering any questions that they might have. And if they think I'm a good fit, then they end up hiring me.
Sweet, sweet. What do you okay with we ask what you typically charge for TC services, or?
Yeah, so for sub-twos and hybrids, I charge 1,200, but that's pretty much everything after I get the signed contract. I don't charge anything extra for like promissory notes and deeds of trust and all of that, because at the end of the day, I'm not the one writing them, right? So I don't think it's fair to charge extra for that stuff. But essentially it's like, once you get a signed contract, you hand it over to me and I take care of everything else. The only thing you have to worry about is showing up for closing.
That's a
I
pretty
try to
decent.
make it very seamless and simple for people.
I mean, that seems like a pretty decent price. I mean, I'm not sure what. That seems reasonable.
Kinda
Ella,
like
do
the
you
going rate.
Ella, do you handle post-close as well, like updating insurance, like limited POA insurance payouts and things like that, or you just do everything up until close?
So I do everything up until close, but I do set those documents in the closing packet so that they're signed and ready to go, so that the buyer has them readily available. I set them up with people who do Subto insurance. So not just Lucas from Steadily, because he's been like super bogged down with clients, but also other people, other insurance agents who are doing subject twos as well and are familiar with them. If they need my help afterwards, then they would engage me for that, but I don't typically do that. I just kind of take it to the closing table and we're done. And if they need me for anything else, of course, they can always call me and, ask me questions, but I haven't really done any post-closing stuff.
Do the TCs not do the contracts anymore because of liability? Is that right?
That's correct.
So who does that?
So I believe what they want us to do now is to get the contracts already written up. And just to make sure that there's, no issues in there. But I am not really supposed to be writing up any contracts. I will show someone, hey, I think you need to fix this, or is this what you mean? I'll go make sure that I go through the contract, because everybody has their own different way of putting in the purchase price and the sale price on the assignment. And sometimes it just doesn't make any sense. So I will go over that with them, but I'm not really allowed to put anything together.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. We've got our in-house model, Suzanne Sharkey, showcasing the new Squad 100 sweaters. If you need someone to
I love it.
somebody to take half your equity in your portfolio, reach out to her. She's a great resource to do that for you.
What you get for doing a flip in Andover, Massachusetts, bro?
I literally lost half my net worth doing one project there. My credit cards are all frozen. I don't have any money in the bank account anymore. Justin Tumanowski is probably going to put a postcard in my house. But yeah, for those of you that don't know Suzanne Sharkey, she is in Rhode Island. She's managing one of the Andover project for everybody else. She also does TC work for herself. She has done a couple of flips, and I don't know, what are you looking to do? Are you buying stuff, or what are you doing in your business?
Just doing dumb things,
She's looking for a foundation guy for her house. If you have, somebody, foundation guy would be helpful.
Yep. I have a beautiful sub. What?
Raising awareness for feminists. That was a low blow. No, Santi's a feminist. He's just supporting you.
Oh, I love that.
Sharky, which house needs a foundation? This is Merrimack?
Yeah, Wavy House.
Wavy House. Yeah, so she's in Rhode Island. If someone's got stuff in Rhode Island, hit her up. She's very good at negotiating, TCing stuff. I think she also has like an agent down there. Is your mom an agent or you don't do an agency, right? But obviously I would use Aiden for anything if you have somebody. He's very nice. Yeah, she's looking to do Subto deals, creative finance deals, flips. I don't know, what do you need in your business? We know the answer.
What's the answer?
Too personal. Yeah.
I have a beautiful deal in Worcester that I'm probably gonna sell, which is really stupid. I should just buy it. But yeah, I'll post it. But yeah,
Sell it.
I'm, huh?
Just buy that.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is, like, I'm not joking. I maxed out Z's credit card. I maxed out my credit card. Like, there's no money. Like, we got to get out of a couple flips to go get money to go buy stuff. I think I maxed out my private. I don't know how far you guys got with Raving Private Capital, but you know, there's tons of deals out here. For this one, I think I would need like 40,000, 42,000 to close it. It's a 3-family in Worcester. Should absolutely keep it. They're doing kind of the same thing. So Emily is doing the grad student. This guy got everybody from his church to rent out his entire house. So he split up the 3rd floor into 5 different bedrooms. They all have 1 kitchen and 1 bathroom for 5 people. And they rent it out for 600. And I think all utilities are included: sewer, water, electric, heat.
Okay.
So what's the cash flow, Sharky?
Cash flow right now is good. We're at like it's $2,000 a month. So the PITI is 2,400, 3.125% interest rate, 2,400 PITI, 340,000 left on the balance. And he needs about 35,000 cash to save his primary residence. So he just wants to stop the foreclosure on his primary residence by selling off his investment property. I think a 3-family in Worcester, a 3-family, and the way he has it set up is it's a 4-1, so 4 bedrooms, 1 bath, for the 1st and 2nd floor, and then the 3rd floor is that like rooming house situation. So right now cash flow is about 2,000. It's so stupid. It's $2,000 cash flow. 4,200 is what's needed. If I do out the math on that, it's going to take me 21 months or like 1 3/4 years to get out of that, just that much alone. And then you have a $500,000 piece of property in Worcester underneath your belt. So look at me making dumb choices.
So wait, what would be the basis? What's the entry fee? I just want to get a little bit more details on it.
Yeah, entry fee is going to be cash to get him out of his. So 35,000 to stop foreclosure. And then I also think I want to make sure that the closing costs for the sale of this investment property, including the transfer taxes in Massachusetts. So I'm estimating like 5,000 to 7,000 to make sure that like he just wipes his hands clean. All he has to do is focus on his primary residence, because that's also a owner occupied 3-family. So as long as he doesn't do dumb things, then he'll be able to make his mortgage payments on time.
Yeah, see, this is the power of this is the power of this community, guys. She was about to make a dumb decision. You know, we're here to help her with a dumb decision. Matt Slowick, out of the goodness of his heart, God knows he's never helped me with any money. He's willing to lend.
Are you really?
He's willing to lend money.
Let me get that 401k retirement.
Yeah. Slowick, I've been asking for money for centuries. Never got a dime out of this guy. And now, out of the goodness of his heart, he's gonna make.
It's not the goodness. It's a smoking deal. It's smoking. If you want to be in Worcester.
Yeah, but that's the power of the community. You know, you bring a deal.
Sharky, if it's a really solid deal, I could help you like raise the money. If it's actually a very solid deal, I could raise it.
Wait a minute. Are you? What happened to Brockton?
I own it. I'm rehabbing it right now.
Beautiful. And you said you had like 6 private lenders on that one?
5. Only 5.
What are you talking about? That's still a lot. Where did you get those 5?
I know.
Maybe Eric,
I just asked in Discord, and I went to the meetup.
the Boston meetup?
Maybe what?
The Boston meetup?
Santiago and Father Gill's meetup. I went and Ben was there, and Ben was like, what do you need in your business? I was like, I need 200 and Yeah, Ben Huang. He was like, I was like, I need $215,000 in the next 4 days. And he was like, all right, I got you. So he like made a phone call, and next thing I know, I have like $150,000 of the deal like funded like in less than 12 hours. I'm like, let's go. First one's the easiest one. So then I had conversations through Discord. And basically I just explained the deal. It's very solid, like fundamental, like just simple. And I was able to explain that really well. And we went through, you know, back and forth on all the notes. Everybody has different notes. But it did close. And like I was like calling people. I definitely learned a lot because I was like calling people on the way to the closing table to make sure that they were like all set. And like one dude was like negotiating his note with me like while I was driving to the closing table. Kind of annoying, but whatever.
Yeah. That's amazing. So what do you own right now? What is this that you own?
It's just a condo, and it's like very simple, like basically like just lock it up at like 205. The cost of money is like 215. We're gonna list it at 265. We're listing it from my dad's brokerage, so we're gonna save on the seller commission, and then we have the closing costs and the buyer commission on the back end. Hoping to make like 20 or 25, but it was a good like learning experience.
Beautiful. Good. Can I ask what you're paying your lenders? Is it, they're all a little bit different based on what they wanted, or did you?
I know Z likes to just go for the big number, so I'm paying 16,000 on 215, which is not as good as what Z had for his 12,000 on 295.
Hey man, just whatever
What
takes
does
the deal
yours,
done.
what does yours work out to be annualized? Like what did you projected for like 3 months to hold that money?
They have something close. I don't know the exact ones for all 5, but they're all getting something like 26 to 28% if it was on an annual basis.
All right, so you're doing 16.5 is the return on it, and you borrowed 215. I'll tell you your numbers later. And then you're borrowing for how long?
I have it set to be they get paid for a minimum of 4 months, but I'm expecting it to be sold in like a month or so.
Cute. Love it. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that would be great, right? Like we always talked about, we should be doing deals, especially like back in the day when we were leaders. We had talked about as leaders, we should be doing deals together. So Andover is part of that, right? To kind of show like how we can make money together, but the push was always to do bigger and bigger deals, more interesting things. So this would be really cool if we had like what is it, like a buy and hold in Worcester. And the entry fee is like so low on it, right? All you have to do is take care of the seller, make sure his primary doesn't go into foreclosure, and he's good to go. And then he has a couple other things, like he wants to continue renting out the basement. He's a contractor, which is really funny because there's lots of deferred maintenance for a contractor who owns an investment property, but I'm not saying nothing. But yeah, I'll put it out there. It's an interesting thought. And to be honest, I always do this where I have these deals, and rather than bring it back to the group, I just sell it to everybody else that I know. So shame on me, and good idea. And Slowick, let's get in bed together financially. For those that don't know, Slowick and I, we were really good friends. We own brother dogs. His dog is my dog's brother. So I know I'm very good friends with Kelly. Relax. I said financially. Let's get in bed financially.
Kelly got a mean left hook, tell you that.
I got a mean what?
It's like Kelly's got a mean left hook.
Yo, Kelly and I, we're good. We're dildos, actually.
All right.
Well, no, she's a dildo, not me though. Dual income, little dog owners, dildos. That's what they call us.
Oh my God.
No one's gonna call you that. Okay, relax.
I'm a single income. Hang on, let me find my other dual
It's
income.
9:15 now. It's time for us to call this quits before it really goes off the rails.
Well, we talked about this at the Andover meetup where we were like, let's bring back late night with Janice. Janice is here. See, dildo talk is now assigned. Exactly. We have now segued into after hours. Just turn off the recording.
This is a family. This is
Oh my
PG-13.
God. See, it's after 9. That's what happened every time after 9 o'clock, the bewitching hour.
Yeah.
But, I hope everybody got value from the call today. Anybody that needs any help, reach out if you're in the community or not. I think, I don't know, you can find somebody to find somebody. Everybody's willing to help out. Like I said, we probably got a deal funded in 5 seconds here. There's opportunities for everybody. So this weekend, for those of you that are in Subto, we have, you missed all of it, Ella. We have the quarterly meetup for Subto people and friends. We're doing what? The apple picking, and then the barn, and then somewhere else after. Make sure you RSVP. If you don't RSVP, there's no entrance to the event, even though it's at an orchard. But be responsible.
An orchard, because they're going to be cider.
Honestly, if you are not in Subto, so I usually prioritize Subto New England people because that's what I care most about. But I have never turned away somebody who's not in Subto. If you are determined to be part of it and you show up, I never say no. I also just yell at people and tell you to make sure that you RSVP because I'm trying to capture your information, because usually after an event, I like to send out like the guest list of who came. So rather than you guys standing there the entire time being like, what's your number? What's your email? You all just have it by default. So no typos, it's all there. You can email, connect with each other after the event. So I like you when you're there to focus on each other and connecting, right? So this Saturday, the link, we'll post it all over the place, Up to New England on Instagram. If you're following it, I'll make sure that it gets uploaded there. It's a Google form link this time because Eventbrite charges and I won't pay that money. So I did it as a Google link. If you want to know any information, it's all on the Google link. Literally apple picking from 2 to 4 o'clock. The next thing is we're in the cider barn, and then there's a group picture, I think at 6:30, and then the final location, which is the after hours location, tavern in the square. But it's all right there.
So we're doing the barn, and then are we staying at the barn? I thought we go somewhere after.
I literally just said that when you were losing your marbles.
Sorry.
What's so funny?
Oh, nothing. So please be courteous to all the staff there at the event. We had some issues last year, so just be courteous. There's a lot of people, and.
So I have some things planned for this time, i.e. yelling at everybody. Plus, I'm going to have these little cards these little instructions that I give out to everybody. But the issue that was the problem last year is that people ordered food and then they got up and started mixing and mingling. And then the waitress was having a bad day and could not figure out where to deliver your food. So I'm going to be sitting you in